Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We got a busy show tonight. Ken Lloyd is here. What's it like with near-death experiences, channeling, and so much more? We're going to have a lot of fun with Ken. He's a great guy, and you're going to enjoy it too. We also have a busy hour number 3, which we'll get to in a moment. But first, let's say hello to each and every one of you. Why? Well, because we can, damn it. We can. So we're going to do it. All right, we got Race Fan in the gold medal position. We got Road Flair with a silver. Tim Mothman and his goatee sharing a bronze medal tonight. Moving on, we got Necessary Dialogue, Kitty Caddywhack, Robert Lamoth, Eternity Eternal. Little Timmy James, how you doing, buddy? See you in hour 3. And Ethanol. Parasolo is here. Parasolo will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio if you don't mind. To the left of the studio. Mel WD-40 is here, lubing us up for tonight's show, because you always want to go into a show with near-death experiences nice and smooth. It's for travel. Trust me, it's for travel. You don't want any rigidness while you're all of a sudden flying through the sky, heading to the big gates, pearly gates of the sky, that's for sure. Adam B., how you doing? Nice to see you. Philip Blair, what's happening? Road Flair, Major Lee, Jules, luscious Jules. How are you, my dear? Good to see you. Scrolling on down, who's next in the studio? Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. Lulu Bell has returned. Lulu Bell will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Les Paul Holland, good to see you. Thank you for coming on in as we continue on with our roll call. Up next, Doug Shelby is here. The Doug Shelby has arrived, which means we can officially start this show. Lisa Smith, thanks for joining us as we continue on with our roll call here. Hi there, Thomas Rock, John Jackson, and Cat's Tongue. Good to see you all. Sierra, thanks for joining us as we continue on. Kurt M., good to see you. Al Garay over on Twitch did 70 laps around the track in 22 minutes. 17 laps, 22 minutes. Speed walking, by the way, not running. Speed walking. He's ready for tonight. Guaranteed. SJ, good to see you. Little Cam over on YouTube tonight. Yeah, Little Cam working out as well. He did literally 300 presses with the dumbbell tonight over top of his head. 300. No time limit. Jerry Carter, just another guy named Harry. Mark Eddy, good to see you all. Phil the Stalker, good to have you back. Millennium, my man, good to see you. Bombshell Bomber, thank you for coming on in. Hi there, Bobbert. Nina Williams, good to see you. As we continue on with our roll call. Oop to Joe's Maine, you've had a near-death experience. Yeah, you have. Gamer Quest, good to have you here. And Cielo Azul, welcome back. Jay Trueseeker, good to see you. And let's see, who else do we have here? Captain K-Rod, Fast Hemi, nice to have you guys here. Hey, we're caught up. We're caught up. Let me just grab a drink of water here. Hold on. Jessica S. I wasn't done. Let's get the radio side going. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us in as we're going to talk near-death experiences and channeling with, let's see here. Ken Lloyd is here. Yeah, he's going to join us here momentarily. We're going to have a fun show. Walter, how you doing as we continue on with our roll call on YouTube before we fire up the show? And let's see here. What else we got? We're caught up with people. Come on, people. Like, I need something here. No, I'm teasing. It's been a long day. Long day. I'm surprised my hair still looks good. Remember, the super chat is open. It's a wonderful way to support what we do on this show on a nightly basis. As well, you could shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. You can wear our stuff out in public and be proud of it. Do me a favor, everybody. Throw those horns up. Let's rock. Mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world. This, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our site as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Round. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. We're going to have a fun show tonight. Ken Lloyd is here to talk about channeling, talk about near-death experiences. Yeah, we're going to turn the woo up to at least 11 or 12 tonight. It's going to be that much fun. Then in hour number 3, we got a busy one. Swamp Dweller is here with another spooky story. Little Timmy James will be here with the UFO report. It's Dave 101 night and the weird news of the week. So let's get right down to it because we're going to enjoy this one as long as we can. Ken Lloyd is an energy-filled architect and healer who, after a profound near-death experience, integrated 22 soul aspects from his higher self and oversoul collective into his physical being. This union allows him to channel higher frequencies and transmit powerful ascension and healing codes to humanity using light language that is conveyed from his collective. Ken and his team work with the intricate layers of a person's energy system to design and harmonize the flow of energy within and around the body. This is amazing. His website, kenlloydofficial.com, if you want to check him on out. Let's bring him on here. Ken Lloyd, welcome to Spaced Out Radio for the first time. How are you?
I am excited. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for this evening. So looking forward to this amazing ride that we're about to go on.
Now, I talked to you before the show, man, and the one thing that I could say is your energy is infectious. I have talked to a number of near-death experience people who have that same type of energy afterwards because they'd never take a minute for granted after that. Is that what happened to you?
Sort of. So my near-death was absolutely, I call it atypical, I believe that's the word, very unusual. And, I'll set the stage in a minute, but the idea of me going over actually didn't happen. The idea of them coming over to me did. So let's kind of, back up a second here. So this is about 7 years ago. At that time, cybersecurity entrepreneur. I've built 3 cybersecurity companies. I've sold all of them, right? Very logical. I've never had religion, never had spirituality. I think I went to a psychic once at a flea market or something, right? So I've never had any exposure to any of this. And it was during the acquisition of the company, I ended up with a pituitary brain tumor, ice pick headaches, passing out, those type of things, and an amazing amount of stress. In fact, it turned out when they did the biopsy, it was a cortisol tumor wrapped in a cortisol cyst, pure stress induced. So what I remember, it was in 2018. I got triggered from my partner. He angered me. In my life, I got to tell you, I was an angry man at that time. And I was on as many energy drinks as I could possibly consume. I was on the ADD medicine, just trying to keep focus. And so I get triggered one day, and I'm like, you know what? I just got to stop. So I went to lay down in bed. And the moment I hit the bed, the back hit the bed, my stomach arched in the air, like upside down letter U. Any yoga instructor would be proud of me. Right. So it's in the air and I'm locked in position. This energy is flowing through my body. And for 2 minutes, I feel energy coming out of my abdomen. All right. Now, I've never had these experiences in my life. And, I didn't have the epiphany. I didn't have the floating over the bed. Right. I didn't have any of those type of things. Everything for me happened afterwards. And it was a trickle, trickle, trickle. So the idea of the tunnel opening. Right. And you would go over and have your review and what have you. One came over into my field. Now, again, I wasn't aware of this. And what they pulled out of my abdomen was all of my life trauma. They literally cleared the body and the root chakra out in a matter of 2 minutes. All right. And at that time, they also removed fear. So I'll explain a little bit more, but I was an extreme introvert at that point in my life. Like I didn't go anywhere, I didn't go out. I created technology and I was even afraid to talk about the technology to my customers. All that changed. So I get up the next day and I'm like, wow, why do I feel peaceful? What shifted and what changed? And rather than me trying to go to the doctor to figure out what happened, I get this little thing that says, go Google this. And all of a sudden, this passion brewed up inside of me that says, what is an aura? What is spirit? What is consciousness? What is remote viewing? What is astral projection? What are all these things? And I couldn't stop. It was like starting another company. You just go and go and go. So that went on for quite a while. And as I'm reading all this material, it's resonating with me. And I'm not even sure why. I've never ever subscribed to this stuff. And, I started finding people in my life, psychics in my life. I did the quantum, the QHHT past life regression stuff. Didn't really do much for me, but it was enough of a breadcrumb to keep me trying to figure out more and more why I'm feeling different. All the news was turned off, movies turned off, music turned off. All my external stimuli to the world was just shut down. I had no interest in anything. And I ran across people who would teach me how to heal the body through detoxing, through changing of behaviors and dietary stuff. And I eventually met a woman who taught me multidimensionality. Now, this is basically you dropping into meditation and going on these journeys, right? As an example, just for fun, take me to Mars, take me to the middle of Mars, and take me to Mars 1,000,000 years ago, whatever the tasks were. And I found that I was doing them. And I got to tell you, when you pay someone to take you on these journeys and they're agreeing, they're seeing the same thing, there's a lot of suspicion there, right? Like, are they trying to take my money? Is this really happening? Like, what am I visualizing? And the confidence just took forever. So I picked up a book one day about energy healing. And I'm going through the little lessons, and the family and friends are saying, yeah, you're doing it. And I'm calling them out. Like, no, this isn't happening. Thanks for the ego. Thanks for helping me. This isn't happening. So I was in denial for years. Finally took an energy healing modality just to see if I could do it. Right. Let me get in front of somebody who actually does this stuff. And Sure enough, I'm doing it. And I did all the 25 people and I'm doing all these lessons and I'm sitting there like, why, what's the struggle? It's just absolutely easy. Now, I don't have a modality, just so we're aware. Now, yeah, there's no modality. I don't have any of these things. I don't have any spirituality practices even today. Right. And I'm the guy eating the meat and doing those things that they tell you not to do if you want to raise your frequency. And there's a reason for that. So about 2 years after the experience, I get this little inclination that says, go look at your DNA number 3. So now this time I'm able to see inside the body. I'm not a medical intuitive, but I'm able to see inside the body in a way that helps me move energy around. So I go into the DNA number 3, basically the third run in the ladder, right? And when I say go into it, just imagine going into it like with a tunnel, just like the DNA behind us, the third strand. And I get in there, and again, this is just visualizations. And to the left of me are 4 drum cymbals, and I believe they're called cymbals, percussions, but the metal ones, but they're vertical. And on the right is 4, and I get this message to go ahead and pull this 1 drum cymbal over to another position. And then as I did that, everything in the scene began vibrating. The bottom of it dropped out like an upside down pyramid that went down forever. I'm like, oh, that's really creepy and weird. Like, I just wasn't really buying into a lot of this stuff. And as soon as I lifted my head up again in the visualization, there's a tunnel in front of me about 30 foot. It was a cloudy tunnel. But at the end were 4 30-foot tall ETs. Now, I didn't know much about the ETs, and I still don't. Like, I don't subscribe to any of the ET stuff happening out there in the world right now. In fact, I'm still shut off from the world. But I later found out through somebody who channels these things that they were called the Kregs, Kregs, and they were 17-dimensional blueprinters, creators of the universe, like we all are, though. We're all creators. And I was the 5th one, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to hang my hat on that. However, that began shifting everything. So over the next coming weeks, I started to feel those tingles in the body. Sometimes when you meet someone, you get that little goose pimple thing that kind of flows through you, or if you have energy work on, you can feel that sometimes. Yes. Well, that started to happen to me every time I stood still. It started in the fingers, started in the toes, and then my body just got amplified. And over the coming years, what was happening, and again, I'm able to tell the story now. I wouldn't have been able to tell it then. They began modifying the cellular structure of my body. So not only did they remove the trauma, which raises their frequency, they began shifting the body in such a way that I can hold higher frequencies. Okay? So preparing the body for more to come in. So, we fast forward, and, they continue to do this. And then one day, universe is a funny way of putting people in front of us, right? To help us with our journey. And one day this lady says, you're a walk-in. I'm like, I'm a what? Lights go off. Because at this point now I'm searching, right? I don't have astral travel. My dreams are puppy dogs and kitty cats, right? I don't have that stuff going on. I have a lot of other stuff going on. And now I know why I don't have those things. So pardon me if I'm rambling on and just kind of getting to the story.
No, I'm absolutely enthralled right now. Please continue.
Oh, it's going to get really interesting. So I get told I'm a walk-in, and now I'm like, oh, I'm something. I'm something now. I can call myself something. And then I run across our dear friend Sheila Seppi, who wrote Walk-Ins, Cosmology of the Soul. And when I met Sheila, I ended up reading her book, and I'm looking, and there's stories in the back of her book about walk-ins. I'm like, I'm seeing that. I'm getting similar weirdness on the inside of me about these things that are coming, right? And then I have an interview with her, or a session with her, and she's like, yeah, you're absolutely a walk-in. So she helped me understand what they were. And then again, I'm just fast forwarding so we can get to the juicy stuff. But in April 1st of 2023, so what is that, about 2 years ago? We're almost April now. So 2 years ago, I have a session done on me. And this woman, wouldn't have mattered who was doing the session, but she does the session and she's like, 12 more just came in. I'm like, what do you mean? She says, 12 more walk-ins just came in. And just for the audience, I want to recognize these are soul aspects. They're not the entire soul. They're just aspects.
Do me a favor. Explain to people what a walk-in is.
Yes, thank you. So there are several types of walk-ins. So typically, there's what they call a soul exchange, meaning that when we have these near-death experiences, we sometimes, they're always in agreement. There's always in contract. We say, listen, here's the body. I'm going to walk out, and another soul is going to walk in. Now, when that soul walks in, their life changes immediately, because now this new soul in this body, one, hasn't been in human form, or at least in this particular form, and they don't really know the partner. right? They don't know the job. They don't know the struggle. All they know is they just walked into a very traumatic situation. And what do? They pack up and go. Divorce happens, quit the job happens, everything shifts, they move the whole 9 yards. Like it's immediate upheaval. So this soul walking in, its desire is to raise the frequency and to heal, even itself. So a soul exchange. Now, another type was what they call a soul braid, which is what I was. I didn't leave. Or there are aspects of me left, but Ken's still here. Ken's still here today. All right. But one came over to me, and like a braided rope, he began working on my energy field, changing the way I feel in a very positive way, by the way, changing those things that interest me. So I could no longer do computers. I taught myself how to write software. I'm one of the original inventors and contributors to antivirus and anti-spyware. You won't find my name anywhere. I can't write a single line of code now. In fact, I struggle with my email. So they began shifting all of those things that used to be important to what needs to be done now. So this soul came in and began shifting my world, right? It got better, it got brighter. So those are called walk-ins. There's another type of walk-in, which is very rare. I ended up moving from the idea of the walk-in to the soul braid to what is called a soul infusion. This is what I am now. And I'm going to talk about the soul infusion in just a moment as I tell you how it actually arrived.
Okay.
So on April 1st, 2 years ago, 12 came into the field. Now, I didn't feel this happening. I just like, yeah, they're in your field and they're in Chrysalis. They'll be ready when they're ready. I'm like, okay, all right, that's fine. But December 12th, the same year, so what was that, 8 months later, whatever that math is, December 12th, I get this nudge to go meditate. Now, I don't have a meditation practice. I mean, I'm as guilty as I feel guilty sometimes because I don't do these things. I sit down in my meditation chair and I'm instantly frozen in position. For 15 minutes, I couldn't itch or twitch my body. And as this energy is coming in through the crown, I'm asking questions, not verbally, but inside. What's going on? What's happening? And I get this kind of an urgent voice that says, we're a little busy right now. We'll get to you in just a moment. They turned off my ability to think, to ask questions. And all I could do for 13 of those 15 minutes was observe what was happening. That was the day my higher self came into my physical body. Now, we talked about the walk-in exchange. They come over and the world changes. 3 weeks after he arrives, and I say he just because that's my dominant characteristic, I was asking for a divorce. 17 years of marriage. I've done very well for myself, and I didn't have any marriage issues, right? But what had taken place is that as they were raising the frequency of me, I became out of harmony with my partner. She didn't elevate or escalate to understand what was happening. And my team's like, now it's time to go. So 3 weeks later, I'm asking for a divorce, right? I ended up selling within 4 or 5 weeks, my classic trucks, my lifted vehicles, my race cars, my home down in Naples, Florida, everything was being sold or given away. And I ended up in Mexico by March, just 3 months after he stepped in. And I went to Mexico with 3 suitcases, and that is literally all I owned after having all this. And I get to Jalapa, Mexico, which, by the way, doesn't have cars. They have horses, donkeys, and 4-wheelers. And you get to Jalapa by boat from Puerto Vallarta, spiritual place. And I'm there for 4 weeks. And in those 4 weeks, 9 more came into my field. All right. And I believe the count then was around 22. Forgive me if I get the numbers wrong because it keeps shifting and changing. In fact, the bio has changed since it was written. So here I am in Jalapa, and 9 more come in. I'm like, what is going on? Like, why do I have so many soul aspects coming into my field? It's like there's something happening here. I don't know what it is. But at that point in my life, my team, who would occasionally talk to me, and I say my team, they're off to my right all the time. They would occasionally tell me, oh, you're going through a life reset. They call it the Great Reset is what they called it. And it was, right? And they also put me in isolation for almost a year. Isolation meaning that I didn't have any friends. I didn't have any community. I was in Mexico. I was in a country I've never stepped foot in my life. I don't know a single Spanish word. I know a couple now. So in isolation, I didn't have any of that. And in July, just past, I was in Tulum. And I get this message again. This is Ken, you're going to go do Bufo and Cambo. Well, Cambo first. Now, I don't like plant medicines. I don't like hallucinogens, right? I enjoy a beer. Like that's kind of where I'm at, right? I'm not into the whole things moving around, but at this point, I'm already doing events in Sarasota, Florida. And as I mentioned, when they remove that trauma, I have no fear. I can get in front of hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people, and I have no stage fright. I have no anxiety. I have nothing. I literally show up with a smile because they, my team, and I'll explain more, are the ones presenting. So here I am getting ready to do this frog poison, which they burn these little holes in your arm and they put the frog poison on there. And what this does in a matter of seconds, it opens up your entire cellular structure of the body and you purge any toxins that are left. That was the easy part, right? I had already done all my detoxing. I was vegan at the time and, it went really, really smooth. And then 2 hours later, I'm doing the Bufo. Now, again, I don't know much about these things, right? But my understanding is it's not recommended to do both the same day. I did. And the Bufo is the DMT. I believe it's called the God molecule by some articles out there, all right? But it's the ego death. It's literally the ego death. So I'm sitting in this big tent in Tulum, and I inhale the DMT, and within 60 seconds, I'm flat on my back. The lights all turned fractals. I mean, it was so bright. It was like eyes closed, super bright. You wanted to wear sunglasses on. It was so intense. And the entire experience was about 25 minutes. I don't know what happened to me for 10 of those minutes. But as I'm coming through, go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just saying, oh, wow, I'm captivated.
Yeah. So as I'm coming through, now I'm getting visuals. And I see my ego being walked out by 2 other souls. And he was not happy. He's pissed. He's looking back to me like, what are you doing to me? Right. And they walked him out. And as I'm coming through, I'm looking at the tent and there are 22 figures in the tent around me. One of them looked solid 3D to my right. And the other ones were kind of fuzzy shards of light. Right. And I open my eyes and I'm seeing this guy. And the other shards. Close my eyes. I'm like, I'm doing it a few times. So, and then I got a few messages that said, one of the messages was, 1, we turned on your 24th chromosome. 2, everything you've done was nothing but the sniff of the aroma of what's coming. At that time, I was doing healings that were almost instant on people. We use the term miracle, but for the audience, a miracle is only defined as something positive happening without a logical explanation. Not a biblical reference there, but everyone has their own miracle. And sometimes those miracles happen in seconds, from mobility being back to pain completely gone to brain tumors, whatever, fill in the blank. Like there's nothing off limits. So this was already happening. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is the sniff of the aroma of what was coming. So I get done. What had happened that day is as they opened up the cells of the body, and they got the ego out of the way. And the ego, our egoic mind is there to protect us, okay, from energy and harm and things. It really is. Got him out of the way. All 22 merged into the physical body. And they merged with me. I'm what is considered an embodied collective. I operate as one with these folks. And I see them as one.
Ken, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. An interesting recollection of his past leading to what Ken Lloyd does today. KenLloydOfficial.com is his website. We'll be back with more near-death experiences, channeling, and so much more on Spaced Out Radio in the next half hour. All right, we are clear. Here we go.
Oh, continue.
Nope, we're just on break here for
All
about
right.
40.5 minutes.
Okay.
Reminder to people in the chat room, we do not do readings on this show. We do not do readings. So just want to let you all know. I'm going to just quickly put you in the green room here, Ken. I'm going to step away for a minute. I got to go say goodnight to my son, okay?
Yes, sir.
Be right back. All right. Ken, sorry about that.
It's all good.
My boy had his final hockey practice of the year tonight, and he didn't have a good practice, so
I'm
he
gonna say it
was
sounds like a sad day.
himself.
Yeah.
So had to give him a quick little pep talk there. All right. Let's see. Hello to Deb. Do we not have sound? We
I hear
should.
you. Okay.
You hear me? Okay,
Yeah.
good. All right. Turn your volume up, Deb. It's there, I promise. Cake in a cup, how you doing? Am I missing anybody? Don't think so. We're good. All right. Deb's got sound, everybody. Let's give her a clap. Deb's got sound. We love you, Deb. Said with love. Said with love. All right. We got about 35 seconds, my friend. Okay. So, what do we got here? Susan, how are you? Thank you to Lee for the lone super chat tonight. Let's not make him a one and done. Let's have some fun here. We're going to bring Ken back on in about, 30 seconds. We're kicking off the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate you tuning us on in for all the woo you can handle. But first, we want to remind all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. We have our good friend Ken Lloyd here, his website, kenlloydofficial.com. And Ken, you were talking about how you started getting all of these weird, strange downloads and messages from the spirit realm after your near-death experience. And it really opened up your eyes, your mind, your body, your soul, your chakras, and even in between your toes in order to, find out that this life is pretty good.
This life is wonderful. I realized at the time when the Bufo and LeCambo happened, why my body was tingling all those years. So what would happen is I would get to the point where I couldn't handle that frequency in the body, and they would level me off and they would do it again, do it again, do it again. They were titrating the amount of energy the body could hold to allow for those soul aspects to merge into the physical body. I had to be elevated and they had to come down in frequency to match me. So this happened, and immediately after I did the Cambo and Bufo, I had a hard time walking. Woke up the next day and I was meditating. I couldn't get out of the meditation chair to make it to the bed. I had no ability to really move the body. There was so much happening inside of me. So this is when they actually started talking to me, right? This is when I could actually start seeing some of them in my visuals, because they've been really, really quiet. My journey was a struggle of what was happening to me. And I would get really, really upset that I'm like, somebody tell me what's going on. Somebody show me something. I've got all these healing abilities and all this crazy intuition, but I wasn't getting a lot of the chit chat from the team, just a little bit. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't astral traveling. I couldn't understand why I didn't have the near-death experience that we typically hear of. You go over and you have the epiphany story. And I later found out, because they didn't want to make that part of my story. They didn't want me to sit in front of today and talk about what I saw on the other side, because the other side is over here now. And this is the story that they want me to share. The same with the astral traveling. They would rather me talk about what's happening to me versus what happened to me when I was astral traveling. So I didn't have those things, but I got this massive energy flowing through my body. And again, this was just July. And my healing abilities ramped up even more. So at this time, I'm already speaking light language, and it comes through intensely. I had someone call me a light language rapper the other day because it happens so fast and so intense. And it goes on and on and on. There's thousands of different tones and languages that flow through me because of the team I have that's here. So the last 6 months have been interesting in the idea that I had to finalize the 3D world. I had to finalize the divorce, came back to Florida. And then as soon as the divorce was final, almost literally to the day, they're like, now you're going to Colorado. I'm in Colorado now. And as soon as I got here, they're talking to me now. And they are, literally all the time I walk around the house and they verbally talk to me. And I've got one voice and I've got one visual, and they have my personality, so they don't try to make it weird or anything, even though all that is weird when you're listening to it. But for me, it's an everyday thing. So I get here, And I'm starting to feel a little weird, like my energy is getting ramped up again. And sure enough, about 3 weeks ago or so, I wake up on a Wednesday morning that can't animate my body. Now I knew something was coming. And, imagine being there and you can't move anything, right? And you're also void of all emotions. So our energy fields around us come together to create the physical body, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the physical layer, so on and so forth. What the team had done is they pulled all the energy bodies out of me. They removed all the chakras and my holographic template and reinstalled new ones. This moves me up again in frequency. So the frequency that some of you may be feeling, if you are, all right, is them. They've amped it up a multiply of 3. So now it emanates from me, and they continue to do this the rest of my life, more and more and more. So why is this important? The higher my frequency goes, the more tools I get in my tool belt.
Right.
Right. So the tools I have now is the live channeling. They will channel to anybody I'm in front of for clients. But what they won't do, which is absolutely beautiful, they won't channel anything happening in the world. They won't channel anything happening up there in space. They're a non-polarity team. The entire team, it's even me. I don't have polarity. I don't have judgment. I don't have anger. I don't have bad days. Every day is just absolutely this smile, right? The team takes care of everything. So I'm in this collective with them. And, their mission.
I apologize for cutting you off there for a second, but for our audience, can you explain who or what your team is?
I will. All right. But, there's one of the things that I've learned in business, right? Is we usually don't talk numbers. It's a numbers game, right? But I'll let you know what I know. In the collective, the embodied collective, there are 16 ascended masters. There are 4 oversouls, and there are 10 ascended master ET realms. So just like we have our ascended masters, each one of the ET races also have theirs. Now, recognize these are just aspects, slivers. It's as if a particular ascended master had a particular tool that needed to deliver at this time. So just that aspect. So there's 30 in the physical body, and then there are 15 archangels in the field. And this is how that Christ consciousness, this is how the healing happens through all of those entities. I don't actually do anything. I just kind of show up, close my eyes, and open my mouth, and they work on who's ever there. But the team is designed for the masses. So when we have these large teams, we have large missions, right? And my mission is to accelerate the ascension, to bring in those healing. As we heal, our frequency rises. So the team's here to do that massive lifting on everybody's healing journey. And they're just there for a certain time, right? They show up at a time in your life when you're ready for them to do that heavy lifting so you can continue your journey. But they're here for millions and millions of people. And this is why the team's so large. And they are continuing to add more knowledge and information and awareness of what I'm here. So, one of the things that I've struggled with is them talking to me, like, talk to me more, let me know what's going on. And there wasn't a lot. And then one day they said, we don't have to talk to you because we're in you. And I'm like, oh, that knowing you get sometimes, that intuition, you don't know where it comes from, that's in me all the time. And I just am able to spout out whatever information is relevant and poignant at that time without having to ask. So they literally emanate through me. I'm just basically a vessel for this incredible energy. Is that making any sense?
Yes, because what you're doing is essentially you're channeling the adventure that whoever they are putting you forward. You've given over your control, if I could use that word loosely, to allow them to guide you along the path that you need to take, whether that's spiritually, whether that's physically, like you move from Florida over to Colorado. I mean, those are big moves.
They're big moves, very, very big moves. I literally gave my entire life up, a very lucrative cybersecurity career, for this thing that came out of nowhere. Major shift, right? So, it's like this. If you can imagine being on a bus, right? I'm the one driving the bus and the daily 3D stuff, right? But when the job's to be done, they shift over and I move to the back of the bus. When I'm doing my light language, I'm in the back of the head, just amazed at what's going on with my mouth. I'm like, you can't get the frequency. I'm literally talking to them, checking my laundry while they're working on people.
How much control do you have?
I have full control. I can stop them at any time. I know what they're going to say before it's said to a person, right? Now, do I have control over the mission? No. I have a voice in the mission, right? So let me kind of explain it another way. So we all think about, what do we do in our past lives, right? What are all those things, right? So I don't have past life recollection intentionally, because they don't want me to stand up here and tell you, hey, that time back when I did this thing, because that's not why I'm here. But what I do know is that the job I'm doing right now, I've done billions and billions of times. I show up at times of ascension to amplify it and to accelerate it. And this is why I'm here now. It's the 30-year mission. And again, millions of people. So I apparently made the sarcastic comment to point to somebody up there that said, hey, I want to come in at my lowest possible frequency to see how high in frequency I can raise in a physical form. So I came in with the birth defect, right? I was supposed to die, within 48 hours. And this birth defect has affected me every day of my life. But I don't have any trauma from it. I came in as low as I could go. I was an introvert, wouldn't talk to anybody in the world. And now everything has shifted and changed. So this is respectfully, without playing on those words, this is a game for me, right? How much can I accomplish in this particular lifetime before I go on to the next one? So I've surrendered, if we want to use those words, to the mission. Full on surrendered, right? And it's incredible.
I'm having trouble understanding the word surrendered, because the one thing that we've always been taught as humans in this life is we should never give up our freedom. We should never give up our value. We should never give up, our free will.
Mm-hmm.
Have you done that?
No, I have free will. But why would I choose? I mean, so when we ponder that question, right? When life is so amazing, when you have all the resources in life you need, and you get up every morning and there's passion again, there's excitement. I made the free will choice to do the mission, right? Would I back out of it now? Never at all. I have the ability to do whatever I want during the day and all these things, right? And I can make those bad decisions, and they talk to me about it, and they never argue, they never yell, they never scream, never do that. I'm allowed to be human. The mission requires the human as well, and the human experience. So I'm having the human experience, but I'm having it in such a way, it's so much better than it ever was in my life. There's no anger. There's no trauma. I don't take on trauma. So imagine 17-year marriage, right? And now I've got to tell the partner that I'm going through a divorce. You have a choice at that moment. You can create a reason to make it happen, right? I could have created arguments and frustration and been, I call it the I could have done all those horrible things just to get through it. None of that took place. None of it at all. I didn't need anything, right? I have no trauma from the divorce. I have no trauma unloading everything I acquired in life, because what I'm living now, it's so satisfying inside. The outside world just shows up for me. And we talk about that in spirituality. And again, now I don't have any spiritual practices, but I know some fundamental stuff, right? Our outside world represents what's going on in the inside, right? So when we have that trauma we need to deal with, or that childhood trauma or the life trauma and so on and so forth, we have that judgment or that anger. those showing up in our world outside of us, those are things and aspects we have to work on the inside to understand and to release. I don't have any of that. I don't have bad days. I don't have moments where I just want to scream. Now, I will tell you this with full respect. I do have the emotion of loneliness because for the past 12 months, I haven't been around many people. Clients are an exception, right? But those people who can even understand what's going through, there are very, very few that can sit down and have that coffee or have that beer and talk shop, at that level. So there's that isolation aspect, but that's shifting and changing right now, right? But they needed me in that isolation period to allow everything to happen organically and without external influence.
That influence that you have in your surroundings,
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned that you are lonely right now because you just moved to Colorado. You haven't made friends yet.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't established yourself in your home, in your community, and everything that kind of goes along with that. How do you take such a strong emotion as friendship and loneliness and kind of push that to the side and allow the guides to deliver what they feel is best at this time if they're the ones who brought you to Colorado?
I argue with them. I yell at them, right? I can do that, but they never do it back to me, right? It's never like that, right? So they recognize the human condition, but at the same time, we talk about the bigger mission, right? So they are now that I'm out of this reset, now that I'm out of this isolation, those people are now showing up. They're showing up in droves, right? And it's happening just from me aligning myself with other folks. Again, like our dear friend Sheila Seppi, who understand these things. So they're showing up now to support me. But for that time, no, it was bad. I had a lot of tears, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration. Imagine being in a country you can't speak the language, and not only that, but you wouldn't even know what to talk about. And no, yeah, we've got those apps on our phone that help us, but I was afraid they were going to talk back to me because I wouldn't have known what they were saying. So it's been a struggle with regards to that, but it's been beautiful at the same time, and it's hard to explain that.
But when you're prepared for the journey like you have been, where you've just let it all go, you know, you're able to do that. You're able to do that. But a lot of people are trapped. They're trapped by their jobs. They're trapped by their mortgages. They're trapped by their children, even though children aren't entrapment. But you know what I'm saying, and I mean that with all due respect to us parents. We just can't jet set and live a vagabond life because our children need education. They need stability. They need, you
Mm-hmm.
know, uh, their love and tenderness that they need to establish as well, and that's our job as parents. So but for you, when you are kind of trending the way you are, how does spirit just approach you and allow you to do this?
Just imagine waking up and realizing it's your job. This is what I do, and it's that inner standing that okay, I'm waking up to what I do, and now I'm here, I'm showing up. But to get to your point, people aren't supposed to do what I do. The average person is not supposed to give up their life in order to leave. I think you were the vagabond life or whatever you want to call it. No, this is not supposed to happen to most people. What's supposed to happen is people as people work on their trauma and they work on the the fear and the judgment, the anger and those type of things, and they work on the poor relationships and so on, the world shows up better. But what happens here is we learn to process the situation and allow it to flow through us. Life will flow through it, right? Rather than you showing up to a trauma situation and holding it for years and anger and hatred and all of these things, right? So this is how the human's supposed to react to those life situations. Raise our frequency, allow life to come at us and just flow around us. Process the moment, process the situation, but then release it. And that's really what spirituality teaches, at least in my opinion. And I've got a pretty crazy bubble I live in, right? But there are times, and I'm one of those people where giving up everything to move into this place where I'm at right now is normal. And I say that very seriously. I thought when I was going through all of these trickle changes, I call them, because they didn't give me a lot of information as I'm going through these shifts. I thought everyone had these things happen to them. Remember, I'm not exposed to the world. I don't know what's happening on YouTube, so on and so forth. So I'm thinking, well, everyone can heal like this, and okay, so these things are happening like that, and I'm calling, I'm literally grabbing people out of the audience and healing them right there on the scene, and I'm like, oh, you got birth trauma, you got this. I mean, as I'm being asked, like I'm not intrusive, and I'm like, well, doesn't everyone do this? So for me, it's just another day. So it's hard to put it into a different perspective, but I'm realizing now that this isn't a normal way to live a life for most people.
No, definitely not.
No, definitely not. I'm definitely a character to hang around with for sure.
We have 3.5 minutes before we got to go to break at the top of the hour. Ken Lloyd is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When you had your near-death experience, what was it like to die?
I don't know. I never had that experience in that way. If I had that experience, then they tell me aspects of my soul did leave that day to make room for the other aspect that walked into the field. But they won't give me access to what actually took place, because that would, what happens when the human gets a little bit of information, right? Now we're like, oh, I got a little clue, and I'm going to Google it. I'm going to dive into it. I'm going to figure this out. That's not the story. So they turn that off, all of the details. In fact, most of the stuff that I understand, I've had those trusted friends help me understand, because I didn't see it. When I had the experience, I didn't see a tunnel opening, right? I had 2 minutes of what the heck just happened to me, right? They literally shut off the memory and the situation completely. So I wish I could answer that question, but I don't have that answer. Remember, I didn't necessarily go over. Spirit came over to this side through that near-death experience process.
Do you think then, because your experience is different, that maybe they changed who you are in timelines?
They're saying, no, this was the timeline. I'm sorry. So what happens here is they'll talk to me, and sometimes I have to ask the question in light language to them. And when they respond, this is what happens. I'm telling you, hanging out at my house is interesting. So this is that. But no, they said the timeline was always there, right? They said there was a delay of about 2 years. It could have happened 2 years sooner, but I was delaying the process, is what I understand. But this was always going to happen. It was absolutely, I knew this before I arrived. We all have our birth plans, right? Just we don't always are aware of it. And I wasn't aware until this happened.
Do you believe in the fact that we are multi-dimensional?
Yeah, absolutely. And we're more multidimensional than you can actually comprehend into human terms. We simply mean that the idea of you being everywhere in every place is absolutely true. And the idea of going into multidimensionality, when you go to those places he was talking about earlier, you can travel anywhere in the universe at any point in time. That is multidimensionality. Not only that, but you exist at every point in every place in every point in time. You can simply tap into those for those that have the ability to say, I want to go there at that time frame into that existence. You have that ability to do that as the human. So that talky fast there, that was them talking to you.
Oh, the speed talking?
Yeah, you'll notice a shift, and usually I end up looking away or looking down as they come through and talk. So I don't have to go into a process to channel. They're here always. So this is what they do to me, or whenever a question's asked.
That's serious woo right there, man.
Yeah, it really is. Like I tell you, I'm not sure I'm ever going to be able to get a girlfriend. But yeah,
well, you never know.
We never know. We never know. But yeah, but this is my life. And I'll get up in the morning and I'll sit down and have my cup of coffee, and then they'll just start talking to me verbally, right? And I'll be channeling whatever they're telling me. I'm a clear channel. I'm also what can be. By the way, did we have to stop? I believe top of the hour.
Yeah, let's hold that thought, because I do have some questions about that.
Yeah.
And we are going into hour number 2 next with Ken Lloyd. KenLloydOfficial.com is his website. Channeling, spirit,
It's a wild ride, Mr. Toad.
All right, we are clear. All right, we have about 6 minutes here. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to put you in the green room, and I'll be right back. Okay.
Ditto. Thank you.
All right. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Be right back. Keep your questions coming. All right, we got 2 minutes to go. I am back. Let's bring Ken back in. All right, Damian Wyatt, how you doing? No, I did not leave, Jerry. Wise Ass McCoy, good to see you. We've got a bunch of questions coming for you in hour 2.
I bet we do.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, I love this. Thank you.
I'm glad you're having fun.
Yeah.
All right. And we have about... Close that. Nope, don't need that. That's what I need. 25 seconds. Thank you to Fast Hemi, Joanne, Philip, and Lee for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support, everybody. Thank you very much. Don't forget, you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store. We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag, so make sure you check it on out. Promise it'll be good. It's always good. And here we go. With the second hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pervisacious. Pervisacious is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night, right here on Spaced Out Radio. We bring back our guest tonight, Ken Lloyd, his website, kenlloydofficial.com. Ken, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. Thank you for the opportunity.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Earlier in the show, you talked about, the connection with ETs. You talked about the connection with spirit. How do they differ?
Okay, so I've asked that question myself, right? Like, I'm trying to understand why the different team members are here. And I understand the Ascended Master in the divinity realm, at least from my very small perception. But I started asking, why do we have these Ascended Masters of the ET realm also part of my thing? So what's happening here is when you are ready to activate that DNA lineage, which we're all chasing, right? We're all going out for that Arcturian DNA activation, fill in the blank. Like, we all are ready for these things to happen. Well, there is the idea of the activations happening at a certain frequency, if you will, from those ET realms. But when you bring in the Ascended Masters, if you will, for those particular realms, they're able to amplify the things you already have inside of you and align you up to those pure core frequencies of that particular species. It's like the purest channel possible for those activations. They kind of clean house a little bit as well. So they're there to ensure that the activations that are taking place out in the wild are indeed in alignment with that particular species to ensure you don't pick up any crud. And so they use some human words there, right? So each one of these Ascended Masters from the different ET realms, when we go out there, right, and we go to get those activations from whomever, right, sometimes they consider they have a little extra baggage in there, like fine print. Now, the person doing the delivery of that activation, I'm going to make names up here for a moment, right? You're going to go to Joey. Joey's like, I'm going to go ahead and give you the DNA activation or attunement from pick your species, right? Well, when he connects to that collective, that doesn't mean that collective has your 100% best interest in mind. There's a lot of, let's just say, political jockeying up there in the ET realms to align themselves as they need for this massive shift that's happening with humanity. It's perfectly fine, by the way. That wasn't a derogatory remark. That wasn't a polarized comment. It's just kind of what it is. So when you get all of these activation coming in, when you have, that lineage inside of you for, the Andromedan, that particular master that's in me will ensure that your Andromedan activations are pure, right? And they'll also amplify those things inside of you. So the team not only does the physical healing, right? They also connect you up, right? They can turn on that activation to whatever you're looking for. So I have all the check boxes of the potential without actually knowing what the potential needs to be. It's a little crazy how I word that, but I never know what's going to happen when I show up with someone. Are they going to be speaking with one of the divine people in their team, as an example? Their teams will show up and talk to them as well. Yeah.
Do the ETs ever take you on a road trip out into space?
So first of all, I don't have any UFO experiences in the physical, in the 3D light,
Right.
and they won't let me have those, because when I have them, what's going to be my story now? I was on that ship and I did this thing and it's awesome, but that's not why I'm here. Now, when I was learning multidimensionality years ago, yeah, I would find myself in all sorts of crystal palaces and on ships. But again, that was in meditation, middle of the afternoon, not there. But now I don't do any of that. Now I don't go up any ships. I don't have any of those travels taking place. I literally just show up and I can see what's going on in the body. I can talk to the organs. I can see the trauma in the heart. I can literally open up the heart and reach in. And again, this is my visual. What's happening here is I'm actually shifting your energy fields in real time, but I'm able to see and pull that trauma out. I can see the past lives. I can see the ancestors, but I won't tell anybody the story. My team won't tell you a story on why you're afraid of drowning, as an example. And let's assume for a moment that you had a past life that was you drowned and now you're afraid of swimming in this life, as an example. I'm just making this up, right? My team won't tell you that. My team will simply go in and they will remove the energetic connection to that past life in real time. So
what would happen if all of a sudden you, as a human, decided to say to your team, I've had enough. I'm done with this. I want my old life back. I just want to go on my own path and live, relax without all the noise in the background. No offense to you, spirit team, but I just want to live. What would happen?
They would terminate the mission. And when they terminate the mission, that also leaves me kind of half here. I would probably end up doing what they call a walk out. Okay. So we have walk-ins, like we talked about earlier in the show. There's also walk-outs. The soul's ready to leave. So if I was to say, you know what, I want my old life back, right? They'd be like, you really can't, because you're not all here. Let me explain that. As we all merge together, aspects of me no longer needed to have the human experience, right? Imagine you're just getting along and there's a part of you that says, you know what? I don't need to be here anymore because I no longer need to hold the trauma. I'm going to leave with the trauma. And so they're called soul aspects, right? So right now, there's about 11% of me that's still here. Now, I don't see the difference. You guys will, as an audience, see the difference, right? But for me, I'm still Ken. I'm still the same guy I was years ago, but I'm happy. I'm an extrovert now. Life is amazing, right? But to answer your question, if I was to literally say without a doubt, and again, this would have to come from my soul beyond just the human aspect, right? So we have 10% of us that's here. We have 90% of us that's around us, right? That 90% is what kind of guides us when we're moving. All of that would have to come to the decision to leave. And then they would honor it, right? But then what was the point of having the mission to begin with? Respectfully. So I could have had a choice. I'm sure I could have had a choice in the beginning as all this was happening. But, I don't know if I would have ever made that choice differently. I really, really don't. It was such a pull, such a waking up every day, like what's going on, and getting a little bit more, another breadcrumb, and literally your passion was, let me drop in and see where I'm going. Let me help somebody who needs some help, right? And when you're in service, I gotta tell you, man, when you're in service to others, it's amazing. When you're really, really in service to others, it's amazing. Life just shows up for you anyways, right? It does. But when you're there showing up for everyone else, the world delivers, the universe delivers, and it is. I don't think I could ever say no. I mean, I don't think I'd have it in me. I have moments. I have moments. And when I was in Mexico, there were a few moments I'm like, walk me out. I can't be alone in the country and all of these things. So there were moments, right? And they're like, you're not walking out. Just calm down, right? And they would walk me, talk me off the edge. But it was more of a proverbial edge. There was never really an edge, so to speak. This was always going to happen.
You do get the choice, though.
He's had the choice several times. He's chosen not to have it. But at this point, going forward, there is no particular choice. The amount of time, energy, and effort put into this mission is critical at this particular point. The exit of him is the exit of the mission and the exit of all of us. Reset, reset, reset. And that's not an option at this moment. So he does not have a choice at this particular place in time, nor does he want to have that choice either. Okay, so I hope that makes sense.
And who are we speaking with there?
It's the collective. So we all operate as one, right? So there's Ken, right? But then when they come through, it's all of them. They don't do it individually.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out where to go with this. This is awesome.
Yeah. So here's let me just kind of help you out a little. I'm also what's called a hollow bone. Now, I couldn't understand what that was. Now, remember, man, I don't have the spiritual background, right? I haven't gone through whatever. And a hollow bone is the ability to allow the information to come down and out without interruption, without judgment, without interception. So if we want to get into metaphorically what's really happening here behind the scenes. So Dave, you're in front of me, right? And you're like, hey man, you're in front of me because I got a shoulder issue, or you need this thing worked on, whatever. So what's really happening is your team, your collective, your own team, the one that we always struggle to have those conversations with, has contracted with my team. Or your team has contracted with the Andromedans or something that says, okay, Dave's ready for his activation. That comes down through my team, sanitized, comes down through the hollow bone. You'll find yourself in front of me and out. What's beautiful about what's being delivered is that I can sit into a room of hundreds and hundreds of people, or thousands on lives, and every single person will get everything unique to them. Nobody gets the same thing. This isn't one of those things where you're going to show up on a certain date, and I'm being funny for a moment, folks, on the 8/8 to get the Lion's Gate from Ken Lloyd. That's not happening. You're showing up. You're getting exactly what you're ready for and a lot more. So your team is like, okay, now it's time. They'll show up in front of me. They'll deliver it. And then you'll go on your own healing journey. Not like mine at all, right? But you'll find your local practitioner to help you with some trauma or some past life understandings or whatever they are. It kind of puts that spark inside of you that says, wow, wait a minute. I want to know more about me. Well, what about you? And so that's what happens. You get this amazing epiphany of your own self.
Let's get to some audience questions here.
Yeah, where do we go now?
Sierra would like to know, how did you meet your team?
I haven't met my team. Now, let me explain that. When I'm in a session, some of my team will show up, and I don't want to talk about what the Ascended Man, which ones they are, because it's just a name game at that point, right? But the point is, they will show up for the client, right? Whether you need a feminine aspect to show up to deal with that particular issue, or if you need a warrior type, whoever needs to show up, because I'm in that hollow bone, they're all allowed to come through. Protection for you, of course, right? So I don't have a conversation with them individually in any capacity. Now, I have seen a few of them, and there have been times that they have come forward. Like I know the one Zeta Reticuli had come forward, and he's all in white, and he had a conversation with me, right? And I've seen the mantis have a conversation with me, and I call him George, right? But this isn't a normal thing. That was previous, and now everyone is on the same team, so they don't show up for me in that capacity. One voice, one visual that kind of looks and sounds like me. They don't want to confuse me, to have me start picking and choosing. Imagine me looking at you for a moment and I'm saying, you know what? I think you need the number 2 guy, right? That's not my job. I just show up and allow them to do what they do. So I don't have those intimate one-on-one conversations separately. It's one. We're all one. I hope that made sense to the question.
All right, let's go to another question here. Let's go to the Andromedan. Have you ever channeled beings who are beyond space and time?
He doesn't channel other beings per se. He's not going to stand up and channel a particular deity or a particular thing out there, a particular race. Not at this time. There'll be a channeling that comes through one particular voice, but when he talks, it's us, it's the collective, not the other beings. He's not designed to bring in those other messages. Recognize he's not here to provide that type of knowledge or guidance, particularly for those others out there. It is just his divine nature and his divine approach, his neutral approach that shows up. So yes, you could say the ones that are part of me are beyond space and time, but I don't actively, as an example, I don't get on Facebook and say, oh man, that guy's channeling so-and-so. I'm going to tune in and do that. No, that's not what happens at all. I don't mess with anybody else.
All right, let's continue on. Let's go to another question here. Let's go over to Jules. What about being respectful of all persons is vague, especially the guests?
I don't quite understand the question about being respectful to all persons. Could you help me understand that?
I don't know. Let's just move on.
Okay.
Oh, wrong one again. Let's go to Paramarv. Mm-hmm. When I hear you say 22 entities came into me, it makes me think of possession or infestation. How is this not such a situation?
Let me tell you a huge difference. When you have a possession or an infestation, I can guarantee you what's happening is I call them the yuckies, just as a general term. Like I don't label things, but we'll call them the yuckies, right? Your life will be miserable. You will be out of control. The things that go through your head, because I deal with these with clients as well, is anger, right? It is abuse. It is making you do things against your free will, right? That would be possession and even infestation. Now, I've had attempted hijacks of me, right? Where I've had a few of those entities pop into my body to have them removed. So I have felt the difference between a possession and infestation. When you have collaboration with your team, and when your team is supporting you in every endeavor, and every answer they give you with love and support, it is not a possession. I've never seen somebody possessed who's happy. That's another way to look at it. So yeah, it's a whole other thing, right? Possessions don't happen by free will, typically, unless you're on a lot of medications and things like that, where you've opened up your field to it. You do some pretty darn things to make that happen.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go over to Deb. How do you sleep? Do you deep rest or are you half awake?
Man, I don't even know. So as the energy moves through my body, right, the sleep is miserable. That tingle is in my bone marrow. So when I lay down, my face will start getting those tingles and the numbness, and goes through the body. And it is delightful. It's delicious. It feels so warm. You don't want to move. But the problem is an hour or two later, you're like, oh, it still feels good. You're like, I really need to sleep. So eventually you fall asleep, but then I wake up. Right. So I don't have deep rest. And I don't remember most of my dreams. Puppy dogs and kitty cats. Like I know what I'm doing because I've been told, but I don't consciously remember what's happening.
Maybe you need a CPAP.
I don't know. That's for people who have those breathing issues, right?
Yeah, I got one. It's great.
Oh, does it help you sleep?
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go to Cake here. So we got about 4 minutes to go before we go to break at the bottom of the hour. Ken, have you ever had brain activity scanned? Would be interesting to see if your left and right lobes light up.
I haven't had that. I'm looking forward to that opportunity, and I'm sure it'll happen, right? I'm to be in front of millions of people. So there's no doubt in my mind there's going to be folks that come up that want to be able to have some tangible scientific proof. And I don't know what that would be, right? They're going to want to see something like that. And if it happens, hey, I'm open to it. As long as the team said this okay. There's an interesting, facet to this. I know when I shouldn't be doing something. I know when somebody's in front of me for the wrong reasons, right? Without knowing. And the team will let me know, hey, you shouldn't move forward with this particular thing. Now, I still have free will. I could still move forward and have, an example of that brain scan done, which I think would be fine. But if it's there for the wrong reasons, the team will let me know before I step into that room.
Are they like a spiritual guard dog for you? Because, a couple times when your entity spoke through you, I noticed it almost sounded a little defensive.
It wasn't defensive. So the voice gets a little deep. And this is something I'm learning to understand when they come in. So to understand that their energy is intense, which creates this deeper voice appearance, which sounds, I'm making this up, but it sounds, in your face, it sounds tough. It sounds, and it's just the frequency. I have a lot of protection though, energetically, right? I have a lot of folks that do watch me to ensure that I don't become, I say the word tainted, right? When we do energy work, we always have the unfortunate potential of energy attaching to you. So I have people watching me to ensure that I stay clean. Yes, they're ensuring that I don't end up in the presence of somebody who wants to harm me. So yes, but that's not the case on the show. I hope that made sense.
No.
Yeah.
Do you then, with that, ever have to use any type of psychedelic in order to enhance the contact that you already have?
And I won't. I absolutely won't. Because, I have done plant medicine. I have done plant medicine 3 times. Let me explain. We already talked about the Cambo and Bufo, right? And then I had done ayahuasca once. I don't like those. I don't like being out of control. I don't like seeing wavy things in front of my face. No, 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 no. I won't do psychedelics. I won't do mushrooms. I won't do any of those things. I don't need to. What is there to enhance? Every question I have is being answered, even if the answer is not yet. But I'm still getting the responses, right? And a lot of things that happen in my life are also timing. Like I didn't know they were going to replace all my energy bodies until the moment it happened. Had I known, I would have been freaked out a little bit, right? So, I don't have. I guess I just don't have those concerns. And I'm sorry, I think I might have lost the question. I hope I answered it. So I'm kind of in and out, up and down as I talked.
No worries. No worries. I think that's quite okay. I thought you answered it perfectly.
Okay.
I'm curious though, as we got about a minute to go here, about 40 seconds to go. If you're doing this cleanly, that you have this clear channel to your own personal source,
Mm-hmm.
they live inside you, correct?
I have the ones we're talking about today we're one collective in the physical body. I have teams up there though. There's thousands and thousands of teams, they tell me, that are managing everything around me to align those people up in front of me. So it's a huge orchestration that's happening up there. And I just up there as a general term, right? But I don't communicate or talk to the back end office, they call it. They talk to me as we talk, right? So that's the back end office, and I don't work with them.
Perfect. Here we go. We're going to go to break now.
Yeah.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right. Let's bring you back in here. There we go. Going by quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it really does. And I'm having such a joyous time. These are great questions, right? And it really is, I think, and I don't recognize it. I think it's difficult for people to wrap their mind around this. I that's what I'm told. But for me, I just do it.
I think it's great.
You know? Sheila tells me to tone it down a little.
Keep it running. Keep it running.
Yeah. So if we have the opportunity for me to demonstrate or provide a healing at your convenience and your direction, it'd be wonderful.
Who do you want to do a healing on?
Everybody.
All right, we can do that.
I don't need anybody to show up and say anything.
All right. Let's do that.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
You're gonna see a few comments for sure after this. There'll be good ones.
Oh, good.
We don't want bad ones. I'm guessing there's commercials playing behind the scenes.
On the radio side.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we just get to sit here and time things out. It's fun that way.
Yeah, it's all good. I don't want to talk too much and lose cool stuff for the audience. So.
Well, that's all good. That's all good. It's all fun times, man.
Mm-hmm.
All right. What else do we got here? Go with that one. There we go. All right. Sweet Tony D, how you doing? Yennefer with a soft J, good to see you. We got about 95 seconds. Mark, thanks for coming on in. Got about 1 minute here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you tonight to Major Lee, Philip, Joanne, and Fast Hemi for the super chats. Greatly appreciate the love and support. All right, here we go in about 10 seconds. Here we go, the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate turning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Reminder to all of you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Final time tonight, we say hello to Ken Lloyd, his website, kenlloydofficial.com, where you can step into profound spiritual, physical, mental, and emotional transformation just by chatting with him. Ken, welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. This has been amazing. Absolutely good, great questions. Bring them on.
Well, before we get to more questions, you wanted to do a healing on our entire audience.
Yeah, I call it an experience. All right. And the way this is going to work is, assuming you're not driving. If you're driving, don't close your eyes. This is going to be really simple. And I do have that philosophy is the KISS principle. Keep it simple, silly, right? We want a little humor with it. So I just want you to just close your eyes for a moment. And just visualize yourself in a dark, soft room. And as you're in this room, I just want you to allow the night sky to begin to show up, the stars, the planets, and just hang out here for a few moments. And allow whatever to happen without expectation. And this may last a minute, it may last a little more. We'll see what they do. So here we go. Milindiginia tala kolok malakala chkadina kamakalakalo kdishatinia sijato korea ta kalianita shiria shoria mamo kaya na ania kala aji inshi ni shini anak ni shinu ni abaala ani di shini to kaya Shatoria Moria Tari Niratish Nakano Morconiatar Shariotoria Mokona Makori and the Adania Notia Shaka Apokul Kuni Apa and Edar Chikidia Shario Momopo Papa Yaki to Turiata Morio Taria Shia Taria Ma Yala Tarishiato Morio Koto Totia Pakarik Dini Tirasha Aloko Sharia Momo Miotu Rutu Tuduti Papakutu Studio. You can come out of that when you're ready. The wiggle those fingers and toes. So as I'm doing that, I don't know. I'm in the back of my head watching my mouth. Right. And I can't, when I do these group things like this, they don't tell me what they're working on, right? When I'm in front of somebody, I'll see the energy or the sound waves, whatever, moving through the body. But everyone will have a different experience, and they may not have the experience the second. What typically happens is over the next 3 days, you'll have these shifts, and you're going to be like, what's going on? right? Why am I sad all of a sudden? So what's happening is the energy in the body that's being shifted right now is looking for a way out. And it may come out through discomfort in the body moving around and then exiting. It may come out through the idea of you be like, man, why am I so sad? Why am I crying? I don't even know. This is the purging of that trauma without having to understand where it's coming from, right? Without having to have the story behind it. So you might find yourself sleeping a lot more tonight, or just the opposite. So everyone will react to the energy just a little different. So give yourself a little patience, right? Some of you may notice the pain in the back gone, whatever these things are. Everyone's different. But this is why they do it without expectation, right? This is why I didn't show up and say, we're going to do this thingy. So
with people who may not understand the language you were speaking, what language is that?
it's called light language, or the language of light. I'm actually a speaker at the Light Language Conference in Colorado here in May. And it's the way the universe talks, right? It's a way for information to come out without the brain or our mind interpreting it. If I was to tell you, hey, let's look at the red car, some of us are going to think Porsches and some of us are going to think Pintos, right? Someone's going to so the way the light language works, it bypasses our mental faculty to allow the universal energy to come in to shift and move the things that are happening. It's like a million bits of information, and every syllable, every sound, it's densely packed, and this is why it has the impact in the body. This is what I use to talk to everything up there.
How do you understand what they are saying?
You don't. It's not you can't interpret it like you would, a Google app. I mean, just to use a metaphor, right? It's all about the intuition. So what I mean by this is what I just delivered, I don't know, because there were so many things given out to everybody, right? But when I'm in a one-on-one session, sometimes as that light language comes through, they'll start speaking words. We're working on your heart. We're working on this. We're working on that, right? They'll speak the words. When you have two people who are speaking light language to each other, they're not listening to the words. They're listening to their heart. And the heart's telling them this is the topic, or this is the feeling, this is the energy being shared. So again, it's not something we interpret like that. It's a feeling inside of us that helps us understand what's being delivered. And when you're in tune with that, you get it.
All right, let's move on here. Let's go to another question from our audience. Let's go over to the Andromedan, who is asking, Ken, what do you know about image channeling?
Come on, he doesn't know anything about image channeling. Can you rephrase the question? Image channeling. They're not understanding that term either.
All right, we'll get to that later. Get Andromeda to rephrase that.
Yeah, sorry.
Jeff wants to know, for you personally, Ken, what kind of diet do you eat?
As thick as I can. So understand, imagine always being tapped in, right? If I was to do, and I did it for a long time, the vegan diet and just all of the detox, everything, it's overwhelming for me. So I do love my chicken, right? So I don't have dietary restrictions, right? Now I need to eat healthy, right? So I make sure I'm using the right cooking stuff, right? I make sure I'm buying the stuff from the organic stores. I'm doing those type of things, but I need to bring myself down. And part of that is through food, right? So I don't have, I don't know if I could survive on those high frequency diets and still be able to function. I need the protein.
All right, let's move on to another question. Let's go over to, let's see here, Vanessa. What do you do about healing those traumas when you are in a living situation that is chaotic and volatile, when you have nowhere else to go?
They just channeled this the other day. I just did a free event. We had like 350 people or something like that on the free event where they were channeling, the understanding, the idea that the hardest life choices are also the most rewarding. So when you're in those situations, you have to find a way, assuming you want to, right? This is assuming you want to make those changes. You have to find a way to make those hard decisions, and sometimes not knowing how the outcome is going to happen. This is part of the challenge of being human. We bring ourselves into these really, I'm going to use the word horrible for a moment, just as a general statement, but these situations where we think we can't get out of it, but we can, right? And we just have to recognize we can versus giving up. Now, I want to say, first of all, being on this side of the fence, making that statement isn't fair because I'm not living that moment. And it's a lot easier to sit over here and say, you need to do this, you need to do that. But when you're in it, it's scary. It's absolutely scary. But there are times, there are things that can be done to shift out of that. And when you shift out of that, you begin healing. And when you heal, your life shows up differently. So I don't have a direct answer on where do you do and what do you do? How do you do it? You just have to find that strength to move out of that situation.
Let's go to Philip. How do we invite in our helper souls?
You can ask your team directly, specifically your team directly for assistance. He does this all the time and he'll explain now. So it's funny, you should mention your helper souls. I call these soul fragments. Okay. So when I'm in a session with somebody and they need a tool, as an example, maybe they need to have something activated in them or, whatever tool for their mission, their journey. There's a soul aspect that'll come out of your higher self, which he's suggestion or helper souls. That's how I'm interpreting it. And these will come down and provide your soul with the tool you need. Now it's your upline, to use a multi-level marketing term, right? Your direct upline. You always want to go to your upline to get those helper souls, those soul fragments coming in you, because those are the ones that are 100% in alignment with you and your mission, right? Talk to your team. Ask for those to come down, those aspects to come down with those tools to help you on your journey.
What are the tools?
No, everyone is a little different. And so I had a man the other day who needed assistance with his own passion, with his ability to do his job. So this particular individual was, I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know his job exactly, but he was able to use hypnosis to move his professional business clients into a better sales presentation or a better way that they do their business, right? And so he had to do a lot of writing and he had to memorize a lot of things, right? So his soul aspect came down to give him more of that ability to recall and more of that passion to move through the chores of the things that he struggled with. This is the aspect that came in with him. Now, there are also other type of soul aspects that sit outside the body, and I usually see them attached at the feet. This simply means that they are holding trauma. Imagine having something so traumatic in your life happen. You're like, I don't know how I'm going to face the next day, but you do. This trauma kind of gets stuck outside of the body a little. What the team does, the team go in there and they'll heal that aspect hanging outside of you, and they'll merge it back in once it's healed. And when this happens, that random anxiety that we don't know where it comes from, the jitters, the fear, that goes away, because when we are split up like that, our energy bodies are also split up. So it causes this imbalance in the energy fields. So I see them both ways, right? The ones helping us that are in us, and then the ones coming down for the additional tools to move us through our life. We just need to ask for those.
Next question is coming from Tony in the UK. Good morning, Tony. Ken, thank you for your healing. I will send you healing in return.
So, Tony, I'm going to have to respectfully decline. Now, respectfully, let me understand. Let me help you. You can't just, and this is me being honest here, I can't work on anybody without their permission. There's this ethical, moral bound, right? And even for me, my team does not allow anybody to touch me energetically, right? And it's not that Tony has anything bad that he wants to send me. This is just the love and the gracious, but my team won't allow any of that to happen. They have me in this metaphorical biosphere where they're controlling all the energies in me, and they don't want assistance. Typically, when that has happened in the past, the individual doing the work, when you agree to that, you create a contract. You open that energy up, right? And what could happen, and this is the danger, is there could be another entity that comes through and tags along on that energy healing. And because I've agreed to it, I've agreed for that energy to enter me that isn't in alignment with me. then I'm digging them out, right? Then I'm making those phone calls saying, I got something in me that's got to go. So respectfully, and I appreciate you, Tony, but I won't accept any healing because of the mission I'm on and the way they have to keep me in this state of no interference. I hope that made sense. And it was very respectful, but I do thank you.
All right, let's go to Lee. Have you suffered any head trauma before your insights?
No head traumas at all. Even the pituitary tumor I had, even though I was passing out, eyes wide open, there is no trauma from it, no complications from it, right? I don't have any, I don't black out, I don't have any pain, I don't have anything at all. It was a complete success. So yeah, no head trauma before, none of it. But that great question though.
All right, let's go. I think we got two more here. Andromeda is asking, your team, what do they look like? Are they blue light beings or angels with wings?
They're shards of light. They're literally shards of light. They don't have features. Now, when they show up for a client, they'll show up as Mary Magdalene or Yeshua or Kuan Yin or whoever needs to show in. They will show up like that. But for me, they're shards of light. And I don't pick them out. Like I'm not having those one-on-ones as I mentioned earlier. We are one collective. So for me, my team is also me. So it's just one big. You can think of it like the energetic halo. We're all just kind of merged in together. We don't separate or identify different in the physical, we will say in the visual form or in the energetic form separately. One voice, one mission, one energy. That's an embodied collective. But showing up for the client's different.
Okay. So they obviously have different, would I be wrong in saying different realities for different situations?
Different tools for different situations. Right? So whatever tool needs to be done is the energy that comes through, right? And it's not always my energy either, by the way. It's not always my team. It's your team as well, right? It's your Andromedan team that is able now, they will come down through that hollow bone to deliver to you. I'm a vessel that allows those energies to come through. It's not just my team, right? My team is for me and that healing. But when you need activations and awareness, and when you need the things that your team is set up, they come through. There's no restriction as long as it's clean energy. And again, just using those words, clean energy, right? So everything and anything can show up. And I've seen some pretty amazing things. I can't recall. I don't have a good memory, by the way. So as a human, when we have memory, we have energetic attachments to those memory, and we can recall the energy there. But when you're up there, you don't get that energetic connection. Now, I'm not going to remember anything we said tonight, right? But if you were to call me up tomorrow and say, hey, you were mentioning that one thing, I would struggle, but then I'd be able to locate where that memory's at and to bring it forward. So for me, I don't hold those things at all.
That makes sense. All right, let's go to another question here. Let's go to Jay. Can healing be recorded here and then be used at any time at anyone's convenience?
Absolutely. So recognize, all the timelines and all the potentials. Anybody who's going to listen to your show is already kind of slated up there, whether it be now or a year or two from now, right? The energy that was delivered was also coded, so when they show up, they get their little piece as well. It's not just for the ones listening live. It's for the replays years down the road as well.
How long is a healing or an energy transmission like you gave earlier? How long does that last?
I'm going to kind of ask you to rephrase it. So it takes the team typically says, anytime you have energy work done by anybody, not just me, it takes about 3 days for all the energies to settle and move out and whatever's going to happen. So anytime you're getting energy work done, you really want to wait 3 days before you go to another practitioner, right? But if you're asking how long does it last, it can last a lifetime. The actual accomplishment of whatever that particular was. I had this lady a couple of weeks ago, probably a year ago actually. She's late 30s. It was an in-person session, and she comes in with this list of all these spiritual activations she wants. And I looked at her and I said, listen, I can do all those, but you're not going to recognize it until it's time for you to become aware of what happened today. I said, do you have anything physical? She says she thought about it. And this woman was a health coach or something like that, a wellness coach. And she says, I can't bend my knees. She's like late 29, 30, whatever it was. I'm like, what do you mean you can't bend your knees? She says, no, since age 3. And I said, okay. So it was an in-person session. I'm like, go ahead and stand up. I said, show me. I got to see this. And she was able to squat down like 4 inches. I mean, no, couldn't bend her knees at all. And I had her sit back down, and they did what we just did, right? It took 30 seconds or so. I'm like, okay, stand back up. She went all the way down. Once the energy is removed, it's done, right? So, and that's just one thing. It happens all the time. It's to the point now where if it doesn't happen, I'm like, what happened? What's wrong? So it really shifts the perspective when you just know what's happening on my side of the fence, right?
We have 3 minutes to go before we have to say goodnight to you.
Uh-huh.
It's flown on by. It really has. Is your group connected to the Galactic Federation?
No, not at all. In no way, shape, or form. They are all divinity realm. Now,
okay. So if I follow that up, then is your group specifically for you, or do you have members of your team that would say go help other people simultaneously?
I don't quite understand the question. I'm going to ask you to rephrase it.
Okay. So you have many light souls beings that are connecting and that you're channeling.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, are they like spirit guides where they are always with you,
Yeah.
or they also, break off and help others as well?
There are aspects. Remember that, right? So there are aspects of that divine energy, not the entire divine energy. That doesn't actually fit into a human body, right? So I have an aspect that stays with me in my collective at all times, right? They don't leave me ever, right? They never will. There might be more coming in, they shift out through certain events. So think of it like this. We have, they're giving me the visual, when we have the new model year of the whatever Chevy vehicle, right? They retool the factory, right? They will be doing that 3 times in my life, retooling me for whatever next aspect of that mission in, which means there's other energies that'll come in for that at that time in the mission, right? But it's more permanent for years, not on the fly. As I said, when something needs to show for somebody, that energy will come through, and it doesn't have to be part of my team. Did that answer the question, Dave?
It does.
Okay.
With 1 minute to go here, I want to say a big thank you for coming on Spaced Out Radio tonight. It's been a learning pleasure, I think, for all of us and in what you do and what your special talents are. And thank you to your team for coming out and chatting with us as well. It's been a very positive experience. In the next 45 seconds, do me a favor, tell everybody where they can find you and more information on you.
So it's kenlloydofficial.com. I'm all over the place on different podcasts and everything, but ultimately what I would recommend and suggest is, go experience my Wednesday night group, right? So this is where I sit down and I work on all parts of the body for 30 minutes, and then I work whatever's in the chat room. And I will literally do this for hours if needed and work on everybody who shows up in these events. And when you're in there, you'll hear the stories of the healing that's happened to these people. So it's $44, right? Give yourself an opportunity for the experience and see what shows up for you. Everyone's different, but kenlloydofficial.com. I'm all over the place, and I just have a lot of fun.
Well, we're glad you have a lot of fun here too, and thank you for joining us on Spaced Out Radio, Ken. Coming up next, Swamp Dweller. Then Little Timmy James will join us for the UFO Report. It's Dave 101 night and the Weird News of the Week. Hour 3 is next.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear. And Ken, thank you very much, my friend. 1 second, I got you muted.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you.
Yeah, excellent. And if you ever want to have a conversation about fun, ring me up.
I will. You
All
take
right.
care, Ken.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. That was awesome. Ken Lloyd, everybody. I'll be right back. All right. Good times. Let's bring on little Timmy James. What's happening?
Not much. What's happening with you?
I'm actually wearing headphones tonight.
I saw that.
Yeah, it's weird. I haven't worn headphones in a long time.
No, I know. Interesting guest, man.
We hit peak woo there.
Yeah, the woo meter was off the charts.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's a good guess when Major Lee starts hating.
Yeah, I think every mod got it. Oh, well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you to Major Lee, Philip, Joanne, and I can't even read that. Fast Hemi for the super chats tonight. Really appreciate the love and support. We got like 30 seconds. Swamp Dweller is going to be a shorty tonight.
Sure.
I downloaded like 5 of them tonight.
That's
Yeah.
thinking.
I was smart.
You were SMRT.
Mm-hmm. All right, 15 seconds, and Swamp Dweller will be about 2 minutes, okay?
You got her.
All right, let's kick off hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We always appreciate earning your listening ears wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. Hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com, we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pervicacious. Oh, I totally butchered that. Pervicacious. There we go. Pervicacious is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. And on that note, let's head to the swamp.
Hello and welcome to Spaced Out Radio's Swamp. I'm Swamp Dweller, and tonight I'm going to take you on a mystic journey of the unknown, sharing tales of monsters, legends, and nightmares. Welcome to the Spaced Out Radio Swamp. Hello, Swamp Dweller. This is the second time I've written in. I hope you read this, as I am curious to see if anyone has had something like this happen to them. I live in the back of the holler in West Virginia. This happened about 3 years ago. I woke up one morning and followed the usual routine, making my coffee and smoking my cigarette. I usually drink my coffee on the front porch, and today was no different. Walking out on the porch, I heard a low, deep growl off to my left. I froze. As I look over to my left, there stood a coyote. Only, it was wrong. It was twice the size of any average coyote around here, and its eyes glowed a strange yellow color. I had 2 choices. The first was to turn around and hightail it back into the house, but then I realized that if I ran, it would chase after me, and I was pretty sure it would catch me before I entered the house. My second choice was to continue walking onto the side porch and sit at the table. At this point, I couldn't tell you why, I decided on option number 2, so I continued. I heard another growl a few steps later, but simply ignored it and continued. When I sat down, I could see it off to the side of the house. It took a few steps toward the forest across the backyard and stopped to stare at me again. This continued for a few minutes before it got to the tree line. Suddenly, it stood up on 2 legs. It let out a yell across between a growl and a wail, and then it ran into the woods. This might not seem scary to many, but it scared the actual hell out of me. My grandfather said seeing a cryptid in the early morning light means they are getting bold and don't see us as a threat. And that is beyond scary to me.
Thank you, Swamp Dweller, for another creepy, spooky short story there. If you want more, just like that, head on over to YouTube, type in Swamp Dweller, hit subscribe, ring that bell, and boom, you got thousands of stories free right there for you. Let's go to the UFO report. Here's Tim James.
That is an interplanetary flying space saucer.
very angry. Very angry indeed. Little Timmy James is here hanging on out with us because it's UFO report time. Tim, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing very, very good, sir. And you?
I'm doing good. Very
Excellent.
tired, but good.
No meetings tonight?
No meetings all day.
Oh, perfect.
No, it was cool though. It was really cool today.
okay.
So pretty happy with it overall. Pretty happy.
Good.
But yeah, otherwise, can't wait for the weekend. I have the house to myself.
No.
I have the house to myself.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Hockey tournament, final hockey tournament of this weekend. So, yeah, out of town. And I am going to be literally eating cheesies with an iced tea right beside me with no shirt on. It's not going to be pretty, but I'm going to do it. Because I can.
Your house, your rules.
That's right. That's right. You're not coming over, Tim, to check it out and take a social media picture. You're not doing that.
Show me love, Dave. Show me love.
I hear you. I hear you. What do you got for us tonight, my man?
Well, I ran across something because it has been a bit of a slow news week when it comes to UFO stuff. There's a lot of political stuff going on out there, so that's taking precedent, obviously. But I ran across a story today that I found kind of interesting. Have you ever heard of hibernation chambers at all?
Well, I've heard of them, but
okay. Well, bit of a excuse me, bit of a story on them. So throughout history, myths and modern UFO encounters have pointed to the concept of hibernation. From ancient deities resting beneath the earth to extraterrestrials preserving themselves in a suspended animation, this phenomenon raises compelling questions. Ancient civilizations recorded their gods entering deep slumber, awaiting for the right moment to awaken and reclaim their influence over the world. In Sumerian text, Enki, a highly advanced figure, was said to reside beneath the waters, emerging only when necessary to guide or protect civilization. Similarly, Norse accounts describe the great wolf Fenrir, bound in a dormant state until the prophesied end of days, hinted at the intentional containment of forces beyond human comprehension. So, recent discoveries, such as the tomb of King Gilgamesh, reinforce the idea that ancient rules are beings may have possessed advanced preservation techniques, allowing them to exist in a prolonged hibernation-like state. Leaked footage reveals the body of Gilgamesh in remarkable condition, fueling evidence that these figures did not merely sleep in mythological terms, but instead underwent intentional stasis. These legends are not just symbolic, but historical accounts of highly developed beings, possibly of non-human origin, who ruled ancient Earth. This aligns with the ancient astronaut hypothesis, suggesting that these figures entered hibernation to survive cataclysmic events or to reawaken in a future era when conditions were optimal for their return. Modern UFO encounters and abduction stories frequently describe elements that support hibernation-like states. In the widely publicized Travis Walton incident in '75, Walton reported experiencing unconsciousness and losing time after his abduction, only to wake up later with fragmented memories of strange beings examining him. The Algash abduction in 1976 involved 4 men taken aboard a craft and subject to a state of paralysis, suggesting that their bodies had been placed in suspended animation. Reports of missing time are common in many abduction cases, with individuals describing counted hours or even days, providing further proof that they were placed into hibernation or cryogenic suspension. These revelations challenge conventional understanding of mythology and history, demanding a reassessment of ancient narratives and their connection to the real events. So, A striking account of extraterrestrial hibernation emerged from the remote viewing session conducted by former CIA remote viewer Joe McGonigal. During a session commissioned by the Department of Defense, McGonigal was given a set of coordinates without prior knowledge of their origin. He described vast pyramidal structures, much larger than those found on Earth, containing massive internal chambers. These were not mere ruins, they functioned as hibernation chambers. Inside, he observed towering humanoid beings, nearly 12 feet tall, in a desperate state of survival as Mars's atmosphere deteriorated. These beings entered suspended animation, potentially awaiting rescue or planetary restoration. McGonigal was later astonished to learn that the coordinates provided to him were from Mars, dating back 1 million years. Unlike his intelligence work on Earth, where verification was possible, these findings lacked immediate validation. However, his claims gained credibility when he compared with satellite imagery from the Jet Propulsion Laboratory. McGonigal obtained negatives from the Joint Propulsion Laboratory, that he claims depicted ruins, Mars, pyramidal structures, and anomalies matching his remote viewer descriptions. These discoveries align with the long-standing theories of an advanced Martian civilization that faced collapse, with some of its members attempting to survival through hibernation. If true, this suggests an extraordinary possibility that intelligent life once flourished on Mars, suffered a devastating catastrophe, and the remnants of that civilization remain in stasis awaiting reawakening. These revelations push the boundaries of what we understand about extraterrestrial life in deep connection to to our own history. So, beyond science accounts of hibernation continue to surface is in unexpected places. One such case describes an alleged Antarctic non-human intelligence that survived alone in a cave using advanced technology to remain in stasis. Another account detailed a 2022 Antarctic UFO retrieval mission in the Queen Elizabeth Range, where leaked footage purportedly showed a bright white egg shaped object being transported through the air. Additional images reveal the cave wall adorned with mysterious symbols resembling hieroglyphs, and a pod said to have housed a dormant entity, reinforcing the concept of extraterrestrial hibernation. Whether viewed through the lens of ancient myths, modern UFO experiences, or emerging scientific research, the idea of hibernating beings, both divine and NHI, continues to surface. Are these accounts part of a larger puzzle waiting to be solved, or are they glimpses into an advanced reality beyond conventional understanding? If NHIs possess hibernation technology, could they already be among us, dormant and waiting for the right moments to awaken?
That's kind of heavy.
Yeah, it is a bit. That's true. I was like, okay, that's a different take on it. I'd heard some stuff about hibernation and suspended animation, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I was like, when I stumbled across this, I was like, okay, I kind of dug into it, and I was like, this is pretty interesting, actually. Just a different theory that I wasn't familiar with. Maybe a lot of people have heard this story 1,000 times, but I was like, okay, that's an interesting angle on things as well.
I wonder what that feels like. Like, do you even know? Are you conscious when it's happening?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, there was another article, like I dug into this more than just this one thing, and some of the things that I've heard, and they were similar with other remote viewers and stuff like that, or people that experienced it, that with these hibernation chambers, some of them on crafts, UFOs, and stuff like that, apparently these chambers were holding children, what looked like children, I should say, and all with blonde hair and stuff, And every report I read, basically everybody said they looked like they were unalive, but they were alive. It was very weird, and they just had that sense that these beings were alive, or these people, or these hybrids were alive, but just being held in that, yeah, everything just on on hold, so to speak. So that was kind of cool. I was like, okay, so this isn't just one off. This is quite interesting. For me, it was anyway.
The thing that kind of freaks me out, like you mentioned Travis Walton,
Mhm.
and in the movie Fire in the Sky, and I realize that's based on a true story and not the true story.
Right.
When he wakes up in that jelly-like substance
Mhm.
in the craft, and then he realizes that like he could rip it open, and it's almost like Jello, where Jello, when if you leave it out on the counter, it gets that hard skin on top
Yeah.
that's hard to break. That's
Mhm.
literally what it looks like. Then going pod to pod, finding skeletons and finding other people, and to me, it's the grossest part of the movie, and scariest part.
Yeah. Yeah,
It makes me wonder if that's what it's like.
I don't know, but it is kinda ugh, all right? So, but
It is
yeah,
pretty.
I remember watching that, and I think that was probably, yeah, the creepiest part of it. Like, obviously, like you said, based on a true story, but, when you don't know the whole story and you're watching it for the first time when you're a young kid or whatever, you're kinda like going, like, "I wonder if this part's true. I wonder if this part's true." It's like, "Oh god, I hope this part isn't true." It's like, gross.
All right, we got
Yeah.
7 minutes. What else you got for us?
I've got a story about the Falkirk Triangle. So, this is over in Scotland. So, the UK government may have closed its UFO investigations, but the residents of Bonnybridge and beyond, the question remains: what is really happening over the skies of Scotland? So the Falkirk Triangle is one of the most active UFO hotspots in the United Kingdom, covering the area between Bonnybridge, Falkirk, and Stirling in central Scotland. Since the early 1990s, thousands of sightings have been reported, with witnesses claiming to have seen unusual lights, triangular craft, cigar-shaped objects, and even humanoid entities. Unlike other UFO cases that revolve around a single incident, the Falkirk Triangle stands out for its persistent activity, drawing comparisons to places like Roswell, of course, and Hesdalen in Norway. While UFO sightings in Scotland date back centuries, the surge of reports in the Falkirk Triangle began in the early 1990s, as previously stated, particularly in the town of Bonnybridge. The first widely publicized case involved local businessman James Walker, who claimed to have been who claimed to have seen a bright star-like object hovering above the road while driving home. As Walker stopped to observe the object, it suddenly moved at an incredible speed, disappearing within seconds. Disturbed by what he saw, he shared his experience with others in Bonnybridge, only to find that several other residents had seen the same thing. This incident sparked further reports, and soon the small town found itself at the center of one of the most active UFO hotspots in Europe. In the months following James Walker's sighting, multiple witnesses in Bonnybridge reported seeing glowing lights, silent triangular crafts, and unidentified objects performing impossible maneuvers. Some claimed these objects hovered over their homes, while others said they buzzed their vehicles, causing electrical interference. One family described seeing a group of small humanoid figures near a landed craft, but when they approached, the beings vanished into thin air. In 1994, a local businessman was driving late at night when his car was suddenly engulfed by a blinding light. He later found himself 1 hour behind schedule with no memory of what had happened. Under hypnosis, he later recalled being taken aboard a craft and encountering tall, gray skinned beings who examined him before releasing him back onto the road. A Scottish police officer was on parole in '99 when he spotted a silver disc-shaped craft moving erratically in the night sky. The object hovered for several seconds before shooting off at an impossible speed, disappearing beyond the hills. The officer, trained in aircraft recognition, insists the craft was not conventional airplane or drone. Throughout the 2000s, numerous ex-military personnel reported seeing mysterious lights near restricted airspace around Falkirk Triangle. Some believe the UK government has been testing secret aircraft in the area, while others suspect an extraterrestrial connection. As recently as 2023, residents have continued to report sightings of silent triangular crafts and orbs of light moving against the wind. Many believe the phenomenon is ongoing, while skeptics argue the rise of drones and satellite technology could explain the sightings. Given the sheer volume of reports, it was inevitable that the UK Ministry of Defense would investigate. The British government has a long history of collecting UFO reports, but their official stance has been that UFOs pose no direct threat to national security. Heard that somewhere before.
Imagine.
Yeah, weird, eh?
I know.
All right, little twist. So Falkirk councillor Billy Buchanan became one of the leading voices calling for an investigation. He wrote letters to multiple prime ministers urging them to acknowledge and investigate the phenomenon. Buchanan also organized public meetings where locals shared their experiences, further legitimizing the reports. The MOD officially closed its UFO desk in 2009, stating, in over 50 years of investigation, no UFO sightings have ever posed a military threat to the UK. However, declassified MOD documents reveal that Bonnybridge had one of the highest concentrations of UFO reports in the country. In a surprising twist, a former MOD official later apologized to Buchanan and the people of Bonnybridge for previously dismissing their claims.
The old threat narrative coming into play there. None in the UK, none in the Falklands, none in in Canada, none in Australia, none in New Zealand to wrap up the Five Eyes. Nobody seems to have a threat with these things except the United States military.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And
amazing how that works.
Yeah, and it just rolls us back, right? It just rolls us back. If it's not if it's the military, like you've said 1,000 times, if it's got to do with the military, and then they look at it, and then if it's no threat, then it's nothing. And I mean, even Canada, and being straight up, right? If they don't see anything as a threat, it's not investigated or it hasn't been investigated. So yeah, it seems to be there's a playbook that they all get handed out. Okay, so we're all on the same page on this, right? So yeah, nothing to see here, nothing to see here.
Nope. They go Chief Wiggum each and every time. Nothing to see here. Come on, people. Nothing to see here. Now, and you know what's funny is we are one of the only shows in the North American UFO world who continues to promote zero threat.
Yeah, right.
Zero. No threat.
Mm-hmm.
But we got about 25 seconds here, Tim. And a great job, as always, on Spaced Out Radio. We appreciate you. And your very nice goatee.
Get in there. Get in there.
Yeah, we can't compliment you on your head hair. You're bald.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know. Tim, thank you very much, buddy.
No problem.
Coming up next on Spaced Out Radio, it's the Dave 101 and the weird news of the week. We'll be right back, everybody.
This is Spaced Out Radio and your host, Dave Scott.
I listened to that whole song the other day just so I could hear that bass line.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's funny because I've done that a couple of times too. As I've whatever, hooked it up in the truck or what have you, and it's like, oh, it's nice to hear the whole thing instead of that sound bite that's used on the show, right? It's like, okay, cool.
By the way, Sweet Robbie G in the chat room was making fun of your accent, saying that you talk funny.
I do not. What? Why is Robbie always picking on me?
Well, guy's got red chin hair. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I talk funny. Huh. Well, I'll have to work on that.
Julie wants to know, do I have Tim's beard in a baggie yet?
Nope.
No.
Not yet.
Oh, hold on. He goes, not Tim. I'm talking about Davey. Look at that.
Thanks, Rob. Love you too, buddy. I guess I know Dave's going into the 101 with tonight. You ever have a coworker?
Mm-hmm. Wanted new weekend show host. One without an accent, like Rob.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, don't do that.
I'm wearing my Stan Marsh socks today.
Are you?
Yeah.
Nice. I'm not wearing any, man. My basement right now feels like there's an Arctic breeze blowing through down here in the man cave. It's like, dang. I don't know where it's coming from. All my doors and windows are shut, but boy, it's cold down here.
The word is against, not against.
What?
Apparently I pronounce against wrong.
Oh,
I
do you?
apparently pronounce it with a Y. Against.
Against.
I don't get that.
Me neither. And we don't say about. We say about.
No, that's the Ontarians who do that.
Yeah. Or use. They make you with the plural. Use. Use, guys.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, kid.
The one thing that I've learned is every state has their own slang.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And same up here in Canada. Everybody's got their own thing. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
Buddy.
guys.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. We'll see you in the chat tomorrow.
See you, buddy.
Good night, guys.
Good night. It's not against. It's not against. It's against. 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 It's not foyer either. It's foyer. It's a French word. It's not crick. It's creek. It's not rough. It's roof. You're killing me, Robbie. Hi, Chris. Teen. Yeah, use is another one. Use guys. What's with that? Paul Demon, how are you? Or people who pronounce Missouri, Missouri. That makes no sense. Thanks, Crave Dog. Exactly. It's house, not hoose. Teen, how are you? I'm going to bring down Sweet Robbie G some Canadian chocolate bars when I see him in Vegas. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you for coming on in, joining us tonight, and having some fun. That's what we do around SORHQ. Reminder to all of you that if you missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives on YouTube or every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. It's that time of the night, that time of the week, where I yell at everybody to get off my lawn. It's the Dave 101.
Open up the door, it's Dave! Who? Dave, D-A-V-E! What is this?
Dave's not here!
It's the Dave 101.
I can see you're really upset about this. I honestly think you ought to sit down calmly, take a stress pill, and think things over.
Leave the killer here! Yeah! Leave the killer! Dave's a mess.
All right, there is rumor going around that we may get more testimony from whistleblowers come the next set of congressional hearings on UFOs, or the popular slang term UAP. Now, while I am a fan of the congressional hearings, because I think they are necessary, because we need to know what the heck is going on in the United States, I do offer some caution and concern for any of those who are attending as congressional politicians. Please don't bring the same whistleblowers up. Please don't re-interview them. We've had enough. When are these people going to go after the big dogs on campus? Yes, people like Lou Elizondo or David Fravor or Ryan Graves, David Grush, and many others are household names in the UFO world. But you know what? They are, if we were to use a military term, the privates. We need the generals. We need the generals to come out and tell us what they know. For years, politicians and the military-industrial complex alike have ganged up on keeping the secrets of UFOs. Interviewing whistleblowers who had an experience to talk about their experience does nothing. It does nothing to forward the process. Now, this isn't an insult that they are bringing light to the subject. What it is saying is it's not moving the ball forward to getting to the answers. They're not going to break their NDAs. They're not going to break their security oath. But the people who really know are the people above them. You know, to use a term from the streets, not that I'm a street guy, but being a journalist, you cover things that happen in the streets at times. And you'd always hear somebody say, you know, stop prosecuting the people doing drugs. Go after the cartels, the big drug dealers. The guy on the street selling pot or whatever it may be, he's just a private. We need the colonels, we need the generals, and every general from 1 star to 5 stars on this. Having Lou Elizondo or David Grush or Fravor or Graves or Sands or Barber or Anderson or any of the whistleblowers come back out and give testimony, what is that going to prove? Those leads, except for Barber and Anderson because they're new, have been told for years. Robert Hastings, the Malmstrom nuclear scandal, where the UFOs were turning the lights or the switches on and off. All right? That story's been out for decades. The 2004 Nimitz incident, been out for a decade now almost. We need to cut the head off of the snake and the hat's on top. You don't start with the tail. The tail is innocent. You got to go for the head in this subject. Now, I'm not saying cut someone's head off. That's kind of disgusting. I'm using that metaphorically speaking. If you want the story, who are the people deflecting this? Is it people at Lockheed Skunk Works? Is it the Pentagon with Susan Go, their PR person, deflecting this story? Is it Sean Kirkpatrick who made a mockery of Arrow? Is it the leadership of NASA that keeps denying that they have anything, even though their recordings of their astronauts and test pilots are literally free use for anybody to hear? There is plenty of evidence, plenty of people talking. What we're not getting is the upper echelon that needs to be subpoenaed to the congressional hearings to actually get the answer. We are in a kangaroo court with this, and nobody cares about the result. Sure, you could have Nancy Mace, Anna Paulina Luna, Lauren Boebert, Tim Burchett, and many others sit there and whine, complain, dang gummit, as Tim Burchett would say. Let's get to the actual facts of this. We know there's cover-ups going on. We need to find some answers. Well, if I'm going to the jewelry store to buy a new watch, I don't go to the dollar store to see what their selection is, because they don't carry watches there. It's simple mathematics. 2 + 2 = 4, but then again, we are talking about politicians, so that could equal 3.14 in pi. It sounds frustrating, and it should be. The UFO community is a very passionate community. They are a very smart community, and they will go to the nth degree to help find out the truth about this story. We don't need intel people directing us like Rick Doty or many others. We don't need them. We need the people who actually are in the know. And if there is an in the know, which we believe there is, myself included, who are the gatekeepers? Who is holding this responsibility? That's who Congress has to find out. Sure, they've got access to spies, detectives, military agents. Use them to track down the who's who. It's that simple. We're not rebuilding anything here that hasn't been done before. If it was any other subject, they'd be in on it. Look how hard they went after Mark Zuckerberg about Facebook, with not only the ads that were following, these placement ads that were tracking on your phone, but even politically, when they were pushing people towards one party and not another. We see this all over the place. We're being played in the UFO world, people. It's not fun. We're never going to get the proof. We're never going to get the proper evidence. We're just not going to get it. We want it. We deserve it. But it isn't happening. So we can research the hell out of this topic like there is no tomorrow. And you know how much further we are going to get ahead? Not even a baby step. Not even a baby step. And I'm not trying to sound pessimistic about it, But they're not going for the people who have the answers. It's real simple. Subpoena the people who may know. Why haven't you brought Susan Goff up onto the board to answer some questions? Sit her at that table with a microphone in hand and make her feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's one way to do it. Literally get to the people with the answers. I don't care about the party secrets. I don't care about JFK. Well, I do because it's conspiratorial. But there are a lot of subjects that we could do this on. All right? The eyewitness testimony is great. It builds the case, but you're not getting to the people who know where to allow you to look. If they were serious about this topic, wouldn't they already have leads that say where these craft are headed? Now, we also have to remember, if we play devil's advocate, these politicians do have non-disclosure agreements as well that they've signed to get internal information, top secret clearance for one. And if it's part of that, then shame on them, because here they are griping about what they potentially already know, but they can't bring it out in public, even though they are calling for the transparency of it all. Now, as confusing as that may be, that's the truth. So for people in the UFO world coming out saying, what's the truth? Where is this going? Show me the evidence. I'm pessimistic that it's going nowhere. They could come out with grandiose eyewitness statements. They could come out with everything, but unless they show us a craft or true non-human intelligence, aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, we're not gaining anything on this subject. That's the truth of it all. People should hope in the UFO community that we don't get the same people testifying. If they want the same people to testify, do it behind closed doors. Stop wasting our time and taxpayer money on this subject if you're not providing anything. Why should we not provide proper information? That should be the question the UFO world is asking. If I had an opportunity to interview Nancy Mace or any of the other panelists there, I would literally say to them, why aren't you going after the big dogs? It's a simple question. Where are these people? Put a guy like Jay Stratton, who ran the ATIP program, back on the stand and ask him that question. Put Sean Kirkpatrick back on the stand and ask him that question. Get them up there to ask questions. Why them over anybody else? Because they ran the programs. They would be in the know on who to talk to above them. Who do they answer to regarding this subject? These types of answers don't run back to the politicians at DC. They go elsewhere. And then the story gets lost in the public. So if I were to say great to new hearings, which I'm glad there will be, I'm glad they're not letting go of this subject. I'm trying to be positive here. But if they're not going to bring in the people that actually can answer questions or should be answering questions, then really, what the hell are we doing here? And you have to wonder if there is a bigger reasoning for that. Is it false flag? Is it to keep the secrets while continuing the subject matter? Is it that they just find it interesting and just want to talk about it in public and use their positioning in order to gain access to it? it could be all three. We don't know where it's going. We don't know what is happening. We could only suspect. But if more congressional hearings come this summer or into the fall, the UFO community is going to go absolutely haywire if they say bring Lou Elizondo back on the stand and all he says is, I can't say that under my NDA. I would have to answer that in a skiff. I need a skiff to talk to you about that. Read my book. That's what it comes down to. The public is going to go crazy in the UFO world, and not for the right reasons. Their anger is going to be pointed at the wrong people. It's going to be pointed at the politicians. It's going to be pointed at the people who are being interviewed in front of Congress instead of going to the people that really have the answers. That's your Dave 101. Let's get to the news.
As God is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is the latest bulletin from the Intercontinental Radio News.
Loud noises!
I am good at things, fighting and reading the news.
It's time once again for Spaced Out Radio's Weird News of the Week.
All right, an ex-CIA agent is sharing evidence he discovered in canceled projects that proves there was life on Mars. Yeah. A man who claims he is able to use his paranormal abilities, Joe McGonigal, says he's able to do something called remote viewing, which is where a person is supposed to use their minds to view things that their body can't see. Project Stargate closed down in 1995 with the CIA judging there was no discernible benefit that has been established from it, remote viewing that is, but McGonigal claims that he was able to see Mars. He recently appeared on the American Alchemy podcast, where he claimed that in May 1984 he saw evidence of alien life. He claims that he was handed a card with coordinates at Mars 1 million BC written on it, and then started to see ancient structures from long ago in the past. He says, I started getting an image of human beings that were trapped in a place where the atmosphere was turning bad. It was obvious these people were dying for some reason, but they were humans. They were just twice our size. He claimed that the people he could see in his viewing were very tall but thin, appeared to be hiding inside a giant pyramid larger than any ancient civilizations on Earth had managed to construct. Project Stargate's remote viewer number 1 said, it seemed like these ancient and tall Martian people looked like they were taking shelter from a storm on the planet's surface. Speaking about exactly what he says there, he said different chambers, but they mostly stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything like that. Pretty boring places. McGonigal suggested that this meant Mars had been ravaged by a big object that passed through our solar system and took the planet's atmosphere away, dooming the inhabitants to a grisly death. It's funny. Dr. John Brandenburg, who's been on this show a couple of times and will be at UFOCon 2025, said the exact same thing without remote viewing. How interesting is that? Scientists claim to have discovered evidence of a soul leaving the body when we die. A recent study looked into what happens when brain activity of clinically dead patients gets studied. Dr. Stuart Hameroff, anesthesiologist and professor at the University of Arizona, has offered his insight. For the study, small sensors were placed on the brains of 7 extremely ill patients who had just minutes left to live. The complex devices captured each patient's blood pressure and heart before it ultimately dropped to 0 and the individual passed away. As part of the results, the EEG revealed a strange but burst of energy that seems to occur during death. Hameroff said, they saw everything go away, and then you got this activity where there was no blood pressure, no heart rate, no nothing. Person is dead. So that could be the near-death experience, or it could be the soul leaving the body, perhaps. The professor argues the motion could be consciousness leaving the body, with the expert claiming that such is the last thing to go during the dying process. The point is, it shows that consciousness is actually probably a very low energy process. This has been fairly reproducible in events, not like 100,000 or 50% of the patients show it when you measure it. Researchers stated that in the study, the most possible explanation for the reading is that the bursts were released because the brain was deprived of oxygen. Yeah. No. The soul is leaving the body. That's what it is doing. How much time do we have here? Let me quickly take a look, see if we got time for one more. Let's see. Do we? All right. An old Vatican book dating back a whopping 900 years seems to have predicted when the world is coming to an end. And apparently it's not very far off. Here we go with another doom and gloom prediction. Yeah, whether it's the Mayans and the infamous 2012 or Sir Isaac Newton calling the world meeting its demise in 2060. The latest one, though, according to the Vatican text, that was written up by St. Malachi. Well, what's the date here? We're scrolling down. End point sometime in 2027, meaning we got 2 years left before our doom, not to sound dramatic or anything like that. So this is where you now have to prepare once again, get your bunker ready. Isn't it amazing? This is saying the world is coming to an end in 2027. The aliens are supposed to come here in 2027. Rob G's chin hair will grow a foot by 2027. It's just getting weird. What happens when this one passes? I'm tired of those predictions. Let's call it a show right there. We say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot. Rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio. Rocking and singing out of every single show. Get your horns up with the guitar. God himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, Elcan, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, Space Travelers Club, and on X, hashtag SpacedOutRadio.
I know you're out there somewhere.
Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us. Because together, my friends,
we're watching.
Leo and Night, Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. Takes exactly 2 hours, 53 minutes, 54 seconds. That's the way we do it here. On the SOR now. Let's see if this actually recorded properly today. March 6, 25. Hopefully. That's smartened up. We will know in a couple minutes. JSCO, how you doing? My eyes are heavy today. I'm tired. I had a good day, but I'm tired. How many of you still have Halloween candy in your cupboard? All the shit that nobody wants to eat. It's a big question right there. Like those powdered candies that are scrunched into tablets. Those things taste like drywall. I think you call them Smarties down there. Our Smarties up here are way better. Where am I going? Right here. All right, here's the magical test. Oh, let's go like this. Load that up. Come on.
So what I remember, it was in 2018, I get triggered from my partner. He angered me, and my life rate is one with these folks.
Perfect. Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you too. Beautiful. Beautiful. Oh, gosh, darn it. I are hurting. Now, I just got to make sure of something here. Coach Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spain. Very nice. Very nice. Happy with this. Happy with this. The radio gods are loving me tonight. Gonna get Rob to try a Big Turk too. That's a good Canadian secret. Big Turk bars? Oh, yeah. Gotta love them. I'm bringing them down, Robbie. When we come down, I'm bringing down some chocolate bars for you. I've never had a whatchamacallit. The Kit Kats are the same down there, J Truth Seeker. It's the Smarties that are different. I love Wonder Bars. Wonder Bars are amazing. I had a Wonder Bar the other day. Okay. Canadian chocolate bars. Now I'm curious. Not available in the U.S. All right. Caramel bar. Do you not have caramel bars down there? Oh, you're going to need to try one of those, Rob. Coffee Crisp, Crispy Crunch. You got Wonder Bar down there, don't you? Crunchy? I don't like those. Okay. According to Savior.com, 11 best Canadian treats not available in the U.S. Maynard's Wine Gums. Oh, those will break your teeth. I love those. Oh, they're so good. I could actually taste one right now just speaking about it. Number 2, Maynard's Swedish Berries. Oh, you don't know what you're missing without the Swedish Berries. Do you have Swedish Berries down there? You don't have Wonder Bars down there? I always thought, oh my God, this is like a Mandela effect for me. Really? You don't have Wonder Bars? I thought that was totally an American bar. This is so Mandela effect for me right now. Weird. Okay, hold on. Number 3, ketchup potato chips. Number 4, Macintosh's toffee. Oh, that stuff's hard to find, but that's good. You know what my mom used to make for Christmas every year? She would take large marshmallows, melt down the Macintosh's toffee, coat the marshmallows in the Macintosh's toffee, and then roll it up in Special K cereal. It was the greatest Christmas treat ever. And this past year was the first time I hadn't had them in 40 years. Maybe, yeah, 40 years. 45 years. Smarties. They're good. Way better than M&M's. All dressed potato chips. Those are good. Just had a bag of all dressed yesterday. Right out of the vending machine at work. Coffee Crisp. Had one of those. They're fantastic. I swore you guys had caramel bars. Oh, they are the greatest. They are just the greatest. Hawkins Cheesies. Oh, those are the crunchy hard ones that I don't care for those. I'll eat them, but I don't care for them. Crispy Crunch. I would equate the Crispy Crunch to a Butterfingers. Very closely resembling Butterfingers. You don't have Aero bars either? Oh, Aero bars and Aero Mint. Oh my God. Aero bars are just great. The chocolate literally. Oh, undo that. Hold on. I made a boo-boo. Undo, delete. Thank you. Copy, paste. Aero bars, you put them on your tongue and they just melt. They melt. Literally, when you bite into an Aero bar, it's literally air. It's all air in there. Like you see the little round holes where the air was. They are phenomenal. Let's see what else. Well, that was the last one on that website. $12 chocolate bars in Canada you won't find in the U.S. Let's go to Consumer. Coffee Crisp, Caramel, Smarties. Big Turk. Oh, God, I love Big Turks. Big Turks are amazing. So Big Turk is like gummy bear jelly. No, not gummy bear jelly, but like a little bit hardened jelly wrapped in chocolate. They are so good. That's an old chocolate bar. I remember my grandfather eating those. Created 1974. Smarties came out in. Here's for our Canadian friends. I'll read this. They actually got the dates on this one. Coffee Crisp came out in 1938. Yeah. 1938. Caramilk came out in 1968. Smarties in 1937. Big Turk in 1974. Mr. Big, which would be the equivalent of an O. Henry bar almost. They came out in the 1960s. Oh, I think I'm making a wrong edit here. Hold on. Where's the music? Is that the music? Out here! All right. It's good stuff here. Wunderbar, 1976. Crispy Crunch came out in 1930. Bounty, which is coconut wrapped in chocolate. So I guess that would be like the Mounds. Is it Mounds? Sometimes I feel like a nut. Sometimes I don't. Yeah, because it's Mounds and Almond Joy. All right, that's 1951. Eat More. I'm going to be honest with you. Eat More looks like a flattened piece of shit, but it's good. It's good. And you don't feel like you're eating poop, but it's good. Apparently you can like for Survivor, like if you're ever in the stuck or you get lost or something, apparently you're supposed to pack Eat Mores in there because it literally it's like a chocolate energy bar with all the peanuts and nougat in there. That came out in the 1920s. Oh my God, you guys don't have Glossette raisins? Those are the greatest, Glossette raisins. Jersey milk chocolate, not a fan. Created 1924. Score Bar, created 1981. So there you go. A little bit of history. That's what I said. Almond Joy and Mounds. Jeez. Yeah, you have Score Bars there now. Charleston Chews are disgusting. What is that really gross pink gum? It's from like the 50s. Boondock, how you doing? The hell is Thrills? Thrills gum. That is the worst gum ever. The taste is apparently floral rose water. And literally, so what does that taste like? It's like you're chewing on soap. It's horrible. I remember my mom chewing that. Oh, it's good. Bubble Yum. JW3, welcome to SOR chat. Bazooka gum was good. Anybody remember the actual Popeye cigarette sticks, candy sticks you could get? Or the black licorice cigars? I like Nerds, Sierra. Nerds are good, especially on ice cream. Okay, what's the best gum out there? I'm going to just say this right now. To me, the number one gum is Juicy Fruit. I love Juicy Fruit. Remember Stimmerall gum? Bubblicious is good. Big League Chew is good, except it loses its flavor really, really quickly. Hubba Bubba's good gum. What did you ever get disappointed? Like all of a sudden you're like, Mom, can I have a stick of gum? And she brings out Trident. It's like, oh, why? What is it? Yeah, I remember that. Fizz strips were disgusting. How about what were the Pop Rocks? Pop Rocks, where you pour them in your mouth and then they like pop in your mouth. Those were good. All right, everybody. Tomorrow night on the show. Let's see here. Who's on tomorrow night? Oh, it's our Keith Andrews in the ET Connection. Look at that. Our Keith will be here tomorrow night. Thank you tonight to Crave Dog, Major Lee ×2, Philip, Joanne, Fast Hemi, and Vanessa for the super chats. Very much appreciate the love, guys. Really, really do. To the rest of you, we say good night because it's time for old Davey to go to bed. Yeah, time for old Davey to go to bed. Davey's tired. Davey's had a long couple of days. Then 6 hours sleep and we'll do it all again tomorrow. So it's all good. Love you all. Thank you for a great night. And we'll see you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
If you need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.